There it is. All right, there he is. I'm muting my mic. Another game. I can't even describe this crap anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We are not a good football team. Point blank, period. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care if anybody calls me a fair weather fan, because all of a sudden I'm getting a bunch of people now going and DMing me telling me that I'm a fake weather fan for my takes. It is what it is. I don't care. It is what it is. I know who people are kind of getting this crap from, but it is what it is. I'm not going to mention any names. But you know what? We're just not a good football team. It's just point blank, period. We are very, very young. We're inexperienced. We don't play in structure. And at this point, I think that from a coaching standpoint, we don't have an identity on both sides of the football. We don't have any identity from the player standpoint. I've been saying this since on Coach Sean's stream. I said this on Ty's stream. We have a cultural identity. It's a cultural crisis. And again, when you look at the players playing music during meetings and wearing iced out jewelry all throughout the training facilities, and everyone is having fun, and it's la la land, and like we have no identity. We have no sort of identity at all. And like I said, it's a cultural shift from Nick Saban to DeBoer. But I'm going to continue to stand by it until we fix that part of the football team. We're not a good football team. I don't give a shit what our record is. I don't care who we've beaten, because a lot of people are going to say, well, we beat Georgia. Yeah, you beat Georgia. You played a great first half, and then you had one of the worst second halves in school history. You survived it because Ryan Williams makes a miraculous catch, and Carson Beck makes one of the dumbest decisions by throwing it on the opposite side of his body in a fade route to Kobe Young when the defender is playing off ball. Like that's what you decided to do. Then you go to the Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt runs the football all down your throat. They convert on very crucial situations by playing just an old Brink style of offense, just an option offense, by just running it down your throat and just physically dismantling you on the line of scrimmage. Your quarterback was looking like Johnny Man. Guys, he got signed to a fucking kick deal. Like, he got signed to a podcast deal he got signed for a podcast deal. They're not going to disclose it, but I can guarantee you he got paid a large fucking sum of money because he beat Bama. And now we're to this point now, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're once again Sellers. He was about to get another contract. Sellers was about to get signed by Kick. Probably a $1 million offer by Kick to try to get the job done because he beat Bama. And we was going to make him famous. Because Vanderbilt's quarterback was getting, he's getting commercials. Johnny Manziel's having conversations with him. He's getting interviewed by like every single major sports cast that you can potentially imagine. So what, if Sellers would have won the game, will they do the exact same crap? Like, people act like we are not, this is not the same Bama team from last year. We are missing a cultural identity within this football team. And honestly, I can't blame one side. Last week, we all tried to blame Womack. Guys, it's everybody. It's Sheridan. It's Womack. It's DeBoer. It's these players. It's everybody. Everybody has to get a piece of the pie. And until we figure out the most important part, which is a cultural identity, we're going to continue to these are the type of games that we're going to continue to see on a weekly basis. These are the games that we are going to continue to see on a weekly basis. Like, I'm not surprised at what I saw. I'm not surprised one bit of what I saw from tonight. We deserve to lose. We deserve to lose this football game. South Carolina outplayed us again. And we somehow, in some way, found a way to fuck it up. We almost fucked it up again, ladies and gentlemen. So, listen, it is what it is. We barely beat a terrible South Carolina football team, at least offensively. A very bad South Carolina football team offensively, whose offensive line has been terrible. Their receivers, besides Nicholas Harbor, couldn't make plays. Their best offensive player is a hobbled Raheem Sanders, and that South Carolina team was able to score 25 points. And they honestly should have. This game should have been going to overtime. Because if Sellers doesn't overthrow that 2-point conversion, the game is going to overtime. And honestly, I have no faith, or I have no confidence that Bama wins that game if we go to overtime. I have no confidence. Like, yeah, we survived. We won the game. We've had. I mean, last year we had a lot of close wins last year. But at least we can sit up here and say it wasn't because of the defense. We all knew that defensively was the strength of the team. The weakness of your football team last year was your offense. For this year, I have no idea what's the strength and what's the weakness. I have no idea. Because there are certain teams with certain personnel and certain matchups that will give both sides fits. And again, second half, South Carolina ran the Vanderbilt formula. They just ran the Vanderbilt formula. And until we fix it, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot for me definitely I can say. I got my boy Minecraft. He's going to join the stream. And of course, anybody else who wants to join the stream and talk, because I barely got the words. So like as always, I did this last time. The link is going to be below the description. So if you want to kind of come up and speak your piece, you can definitely do it. But for me, there's not that much I can say, man. There's just not that much I can really say. This football team, like I've been saying for the entirety of the season, continues to play like absolute hot ass. I don't even know really what to say. I don't even know really what to say, man. I just don't, bro. But I got my boy Elevators in here, man. What's going on, brother?
Well, I got a little heated towards the end of the game, but overall, I was mostly calm throughout the game because I just knew what to expect.
Yeah,
but and the thing about I've seen people say like comparisons to 2010. Now, I'm only 22. I've only been watching Alabama since 2016, so I haven't really seen how the team was in 2010. But, and how long have you been watching Alabama?
Since 2000, I would say since 2005. So I've been watching Alabama football a little bit longer. 2010 was like that was probably one of the most talented Saban teams of all time. But that team was extremely young. You lost a lot of starters off of a national championship football team.
Yeah.
And I will say this: Bama did, in 2010. We didn't play. I mean, we lost to South Carolina, we lost to LSU, and then we lost a 21-point comeback to Cam Newton and Auburn.
Yeah,
that was it. Those were the only 3 games we lost. Like at least we lost to ranked opponents. At least we lost to top 25 teams that were solid football teams.
Well, I'll just say this, gents. How you doing today? Anyway,
you doing a good, Brock?
I'll just say this, man. The defensive scheme it's not working, bro. I don't know. I don't think Kane Womack. There's no way he's gonna be here next year. If this defense continues to look like this, I mean, guys they're not in the right position. They're not making tackles. They're just letting guys run all through us. I mean, what can we do, man?
It feels like there's no physicality up front like we saw in the Saban era.
Yeah, Rodney, I never seen 26 this in my life, bro. Like this shit's trash, bro. It's no excuse because we got 4 and 5 star fucking linebackers and safeties and corners, bro. I get it. We do have a young defense in the back end. I do get it. Jalen Mbakwe is out there. You got Xavier Brown. You know, I didn't even see Xavier. I guess he was out. But
Mincy was in the game after Damani Jackson went down for like a little bit. You saw Deshaun Jones, who, you know, again, 3-star guy coming from Wake Forest. You know?
I just don't know, man. We losing those guys at corner from last year, that really killed us. I'm sorry. That if we'd had Kool-Aid and Terrion back, like that would have helped a lot. But man, we just lost so much on defense. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but it's still the defensive play calling for me, man. And then on top of that, it's just stupid penalties. We cannot get over. We can't get over ourselves. We can't get over our own self. We literally choked ourselves on we almost gave this game up, man. The onside kick, we can't even capitalize the ball. Man, come on, man. This is bad. Like, I thought we was gonna take care of business today. I did not see this coming. I did not. And I thought our offense was going, come out swinging, which they did, kind of 14 points. But then Mincy lets the guy run right past him. And then touchdown. Then it's 14-7, and then after halftime,
the safety, right?
you know, it's
The safety before halftime, wasn't it? Before halftime?
no. I think was it after? I don't know.
Yeah,
Before
well,
or after one. I
basically
think it was
Jalen
before
Milrow.
halftime. Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen Milrow drops back to throw, and then he gets pressured, and for whatever reason, he runs into the end zone. And
I mean, I guess you credit South Carolina's defense. I think they do have one of the best duo edge in the SEC. I don't know, Jance, if you feel the same way, but Kennard and
Dylan Stewart and Kennard.
Those are NFL guys. I'm gonna just tell you that.
Those are NFL players. Kennard is gonna be. I don't know if he's gonna be a first round pick, but he is gonna be in the conversation. He is gonna be in the conversation for one of the best edges. Dylan Stewart's a freak coming off the edge.
And then their D line was eating. Like they have a good D line.
Yeah,
they do. And we knew this. Like we knew that like defensively on that line they were going to give this Alabama offensive line some issues. And you know this is where you rely on DeBoer and Sheridan to come up with some creative plays to try to at least can we get off to the edge. Yeah. But I also wanted to see too, like are we going to shy away from the run game? Like are we going to be a team that say, you know what, we're going to attack it. We're just going to go ahead and attack it because we have Roberts, we have Brailford, we have Booker. Let's try to attack the inside. Because clearly, I mean, their edge that's their strength. It's their perimeter defense. Let's see if we can try to go ahead and attack the inside. And we shied away from it again. We didn't do that against Vanderbilt. We shied away from it against Vanderbilt, and we did the exact same situation again. And we attacked the strength of their defense, and that's why we were in trouble.
Is this on Nick Sheridan, or would you say this is on Kalen DeBoer?
This is defense. I'm still saying I think it's more defensively than anything, man. After halftime, they got the ball in the second half, bro. They had the ball almost the whole third quarter. I mean, it was
another game with an 8-minute drive. It's been every game. Every game, a team is
killing us, dude. Killing us.
It's because we'll stop them on first and second down, and then let them get it on third down, and it happens over and over, and it just extends the drive and makes it last way longer.
I just don't understand, man. Like, is Kane Womack this trash? Like, is his defense out? Like, what is?
But we were in 3 different looks today. We were in a 4-2-5. We were in a 4-3. We were in more 4-3, honestly, than a 4-2-5. And then we were in a 3-3-5 nickel. And what's the most consistent thing? Your best run defenders are not on the field. Your best run defenders are not on the field consistently. And so this was a game where I mean, for a 4-man rush, I think that this was one of our best games in terms of generating pressure from a 4-man rush. The problem is this was another game where we went up against a mobile quarterback that doesn't have a spot. Another game where Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson are not spying the quarterback. Instead, it's a 4-man rush. He's breaking containment. and going to the outside. And look at that. Chance opportunities. Another game of it. I mean, another game of missed tackles, missed assignments. Like I don't know. I don't know what you.
We're undisciplined, man. We're undisciplined.
I'd hate to know the missed tackle numbers after this game.
It's high. I can guarantee you that. Vanderbilt missed tackles. This game missed tackles. I'm telling this right now, and I tweeted this out last week. We're lucky we didn't play Arkansas today. If we played Arkansas either of these 2 weeks, we would have lost. We would have lost against Arkansas. We played them today.
Yep.
And Elman, I was nervous about the Tennessee game in the preseason, but like Elman, it's looking even worse now.
Well, Tennessee's got problems too.
Tennessee's got issues. Their offensive line is. I keep telling people their offensive line wasn't as good as it's out to be.
Real bad. Yeah.
Yeah, they have similar issues like we do. Like it's gonna be it's just another game where we play down to our competition. The defense was once again the weakness of your team. Offensively, we kept making big mistakes. Jalen Merrill kept making huge mistakes. I keep saying it. He's a half-free quarterback, and the danger with half-free quarterbacks is they will read a specific side of the field, but at some point they're going to have a tendency of being once again one read. Both interceptions were one read. How did the second interception go? Because he's staring down Bernard. You're not looking off the defender, so you're not buying your receiver enough time. You're staring him down from the initial standpoint.
Yeah,
So what do you think he's going to do?
what happened. That's what happened last week in the Vandy game. He stared down the fucking receiver, and he gets fucking sacked, and we lose the ball.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Miro still has a problem, folks. Like, as much as I've given Miro credit, he still has the same problems.
Yeah,
And
it's like
he's gotten better, but he still got issues, bro.
Yeah, he's
and he knows that.
like,
I think he knows. He's got to know it.
It's like he's slow with his decision making. Like, if you've ever played chess, you know the saying, like, that's a bad move because it allows your opponent to win a tempo on you. Well, that's basically what's happening. It's when he's slow with making his decisions, it allows the player to win.
Keep looking for
win a tempo.
doggone? Why every play we want to feed Ryan Williams? Bro, we got several fucking playmakers. Please stop throwing to Ryan Williams every play.
Yeah,
it's like, if we don't get it to Ryan, it's a bust. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of that shit, man.
I think another issue too that we're not talking about is we have an issue with game management. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer is not as a game manager, as a guy that can manage the clock, someone that can intervene with the offense or defense in certain situations. He's a terrible game manager, and that was Washington last year. It was this year. He's a terrible game manager. He's a terrible game manager. He gave away 5 points, ladies and gentlemen. He gave away 5 points. Well, if you just kneel the football or you run the football and you take it off the clock, if backed up in the end zone, run the ball. Worst case scenario, you have one of the best punters in the nation. Punt the football. You get at least like a 40, 50-yard punt. I'm making South Carolina at least work the field. But at the same time, Milroe, what do? Backside pressure. Parker Brailsford gets pushed up in the pocket. Milroe refuses to climb it. And when he doesn't refuse to climb it, what's his tendency? He rolls out to the right like he normally does, and he gets sacked. And it's not like that was a 3-man rush. Krenard he's playing spy. He's spying the quarterback. And you can tell that was designed. You can tell that for the most part, if they had initial pressure, they knew that Miro was going to roll to the right because Krenard rushed in immediately. He didn't give Miro the chance. He rushed in immediately when he saw that tendency was going to happen. So that was specifically designed for Krenard to make that play. And we fell right into the lap, ladies and gentlemen. Then the 3 points again. I mean, it's 12 seconds left on the clock. Your offense, you got sacked twice behind the line of scrimmage, or you're getting major pressure. Why are you being aggressive? It's 12 seconds off the clock. What are you looking to accomplish? Yeah,
it's the thing is, like, going back to his days at Washington, if you look at a lot of his games, hardly a few of them were just, blowouts the entire game. There were a few where he, kind of like the Georgia game, where he dominated in the first half and then let the team hang around in the second half.
Yep.
So, like, he did that in the Texas game, and I think he did that in both Oregon games, if I recall correctly, didn't he?
Yep.
And so that's, like I say, he's got to learn to, like, the craziest thing I see is, like, on the final drive when the other team has the ball, how the defense doesn't seem to be dialed in. Like, let's stop this team, let's win this, right?
Like, it's just I've never seen a complete failure from all three sides, like special teams, offense, defense, and then your coaching staff. Like, it was a complete failure from all sides. Like, I can't specifically blame one side because everybody did not do their job. Coaches were yapping at the players. The players couldn't really respond to the. I mean, that's what we complained about was, man, coaches getting these players' ass. Well, guess what? They did it, and these players still couldn't respond to the challenge. It's something deeper which is going on, ladies and gentlemen. It's something deeper which is going on with this football team. If we're gonna I don't know. Like this is looking bad. What's going on, Trinity, man?
Not much, bro. I know you've been struggling. And I'm like, I hope that you're getting better, with your health and stuff. But I know this game did not help I know this game did not help your spirits, but I wanted to ask Bama fans, was the aberration against Georgia in that first quarter, is that what y'all think your team really is, or is it what happened for the next 2.5 quarter? Whatever happened with the game against Georgia, from the 2.5 quarters left in the game, is that the true team, or was it that first quarter that y'all hit lightning in the bottle?
Well, thus far, since that second half, that's kind of the only
Because
thing we've seen.
because it's very funny. The media, everybody is down Georgia's throats for losing the Bama game and writing Georgia off, even Georgia fans. And I said this last week when I called in and said, if you ever watch football, there has never been a start that Alabama did against Georgia in that first quarter where y'all hit everything perfectly. That doesn't happen in football. Everything else that happened later in the game, that's what normally happens in football. I don't care how great of an offense you have, that you cannot sustain being perfect like that. Even the 2019 LSU team wasn't perfect. They were great, but they didn't hit every single time. And I feel like Bama fans, and I'm not talking about you, Jance, because you clearly saw through it. You are one of the few Bama fans that seen it what it is. But the media and everybody else is looking at how great y'all started and not looking at the whole game. When Georgia fans lose to Alabama, we either start great and we end trash, or we start trash and we end great. It's never a complete game, because when you're facing that level of competition, it's rare to ever be perfect a whole game. And I'm like, again, it sucks because this is how, if you want to believe in conspiracies or not, Nick Saban teams, for whatever reason, and this is maybe just how great and how people respect Nick Saban. Nick Saban had starts like this, especially once Kirby left. Nick Saban's defenses have never been great like they used to be in 2012. Anything prior to 2015, whatever Kirby had a way much bigger effect on the dynasty than people realize. Everybody just says, "Oh, it's just Nick Saban. Oh, it's just, ever since Kirby left, Alabama defenses haven't been great like they used to be."
Yeah, we had the one great. I mean, we had we had two. We had two in 2016 and 2017, but that was with Jerry Pruitt. Like Jerry Pruitt was the last defensive coordinator.
And guess what? And that was the last remnants of Kirby Smart's, kids that he recruited.
And we use this. I mean, for the most part, I mean, it's Nick Saban's scheme, but a lot of what Kirby Smart was doing in terms of tendencies and just certain formations that we don't use anymore. Jeremy Pruitt used it. He didn't take it away from him. He took it from him.
And you clearly see it has just went downhill. And Jance, you talk about it all the time. Not to say, Kirby, whatever, but you talk about, like, man, our defenses, it's been just offense to offense. If y'all didn't have as great wide receivers as y'all used to have, because this is what we're also seeing too, is that Alabama, outside of Ryan Williams, y'all don't have that superstar amount of wide receivers that y'all could rely on. Yeah. When y'all had 3 first-round draft picks for like 5-6 years straight, like level talent. This team at this current moment, you got Ryan Williams, who's a rookie, but everybody else, even though they're 4 stars and 5 stars, they don't have the talent, or it's not being showcased, it's not being highlighted.
They're not in that upper tier of wide receivers.
You feel me? And when you don't have that, I mean, Georgia, ever since Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, Georgia's run game hasn't been the same. Whether we still get 5-star, we still running back it's always debatable. But our run game, their running backs it has not been the same ever since Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel, has
Yeah,
left. And you see it affects Georgia's offense. You said what?
You had Swift, and that was it. I mean, Swift was you had Swift and Holyfield, and then when they were gone, that was it. Like
and Swift came right after Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. So they had that mentor, and Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb, they stayed a year longer, partially because of Nick Chubb's horrific injury. You know what I'm saying? But DeAndre Swift had that to idolize his game after, model his game and the attitude, how they carried themselves. Ever since then, that's one area that, there's only been Bama. That's the only team that's beaten us. But that's one area that we have had weakness at, that Alabama used. We've never been a team that had great wide receivers. Our calling card was our O-line and our running game.
Yeah.
And you see that affects Georgia's offense. Alabama, the wide receivers, it's the opposite. The wide receivers is what leads your run game. Not unless if you have a Trent Richardson or Derrick Henry, but that's a rare occasion. But your offense is really wide receiver. You said what?
I said, or even a Najee Harris.
Yeah, even Najee. But Najee had great quarterback play. See, that's one thing with Alabama is that you could rely on your great running backs, and y'all had mediocre quarterbacks. But then when the philosophy kind of changed under Nick Saban, he knew that his defense wasn't going to be, and how college football transferred, the running game was going out of style. Yes, you may get a great running back here and there, but it's offensive pass heavy. That means you need a quarterback that's more dynamic. That's what's been a saving grace with Alabama, is that you have recruited and you hit lightning in the bottle with all your quarterbacks and then wide receivers. Now Jalen Monroe. See, the thing is, Alabama, and y'all had to get rid of Jalen Hurts because he cannot throw prolifically like a Tua, like Bryce Young, Mac Jones. They're all great throwers of the football. Jalen Hurts isn't. He's a great athlete, but you see when it gets down in crunch time, and when you face a team that is athletically gifted as your star quarterback, that negates their abilities. And Jalen Monroe, I questioned it, last week when I called in. I do not see it. I look at him as Lamar Jackson until they can unlock. Because when you look at playing the quarterback position, for them to be so athletic, they are not very agile with throwing the football. And what I mean by being agile is that their footwork, they should be athletic. People should always have the best kind of footwork, but they don't, because they rely on so much on their running ability. They're not working on the little things. Jalen Monroe doesn't really step into it. He really,
nope.
I'm not gonna say hitches, but he throws.
Throws off his back foot a lot, right?
That interception he threw was off his back foot. That's what people don't want to talk about.
Terrible.
And that was off his back foot.
Yes.
And yes, it has too much air on it.
He throws like a statue. It's very funny how being an athletic quarterback, a lot of athletic quarterback, if you watch their game, they throw like a statue. It's very robotic. It's not loose. And when you see somebody that is a pocket quarterback, they throw it. They are very fluid.
Yep.
With their throwing.
You don't have to. I mean, and that's always. This is one of the weaknesses of Jalen Monroe. Jalen, when he, like you just said, when he throws the football, most quarterbacks, their feet are moving when they're still throwing it. They're not throwing it off foot. Their feet are centered. They have a lot. They generate a lot more torque, but their feet are always moving. When Jalen Monroe throws, he stands. Like he stands when he's going through a throwing motion. So he doesn't get enough. So sometimes he doesn't get enough on the ball. He doesn't get enough velocity. He doesn't have
good touch. He doesn't have really good touch, and he doesn't have great anticipation. That's what a lot of mobile quarterbacks, they don't have great anticipation. See, people try to equate Patrick Mahomes or anybody that can. Patrick Mahomes is more Aaron Rodgers. See, a lot this generation, they modelize the game after Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is just mobile enough, but he has great footwork and he has great mobility within the hash marks. You feel me? And that's what that's what Patrick Mahomes really modelizes his game after.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't modelize the game after Tom Brady or Peyton Manning because what makes them great is everything above is everything above the shoulders. They are so elite at that. It's different. And so if you aren't that, if you don't, that's a God-given talent that is just different where you see the game a different way and you slow it down. Now, people try to be like Michael Vick. Michael Vick is a rare occasion where he was supremely athletic, God-given ability, but he can also throw the ball. What got Michael Vick in trouble was he lacked the work ethic, and he didn't have he didn't have the right coaching, the right tutelage after Dan Reeves. And also, he never had any weapons. If you ever look at the Falcons roster, this dude, the offensive line, like how when you're blocking and there is uniformity when if they're pass blocking, the line only moves back 1 to 3 yards. This dude had an O-line, and you got a guard that might be 5 yards up the field. You got a tackle that's 10 yards back. It was just so trash. But because he was such athletically gifted, this dude always threw a pass 10 to 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage every play, or if not, he just ran. He was so if you do not have that cat-like quickness that can supersede your let me say this, slowing the game down and really processing, then you're gonna fail. And that's even before you even get to throw the football. And that's what I see a lot of people lack. That's what I say with Shedeur Sanders. You see that Tom Brady and Michael Vick, who is two of his mentors, you can see how he is taking both of those quarterbacks and he's using it to his ability. And a lot of young quarterbacks don't have access to it. I mean, Shedeur Sanders probably very fortunate for that. But a lot of people, shoot through YouTube. You don't even really need to have the person to mentor you, day to day. Through YouTube, you could just, look at the clips of these quarterbacks during the game and stuff.
He's a full read quarterback. This is the one thing I like about Shedeur. Shedeur's a full read guy. Like he's a pro style guy that can read full read. He's not a half read guy. He doesn't just go through one progression. He goes through all of his progressions. The biggest issue is that sometimes, like him and Cam Ward, they both have the same issue. Is that I think Shedeur Sanders he's a better quarterback in terms of if they have disguised coverages, he can easily. He doesn't really get the defense doesn't really confuse him, even if you try to show him different looks. Cam Ward does get confused with different looks at times, but what's the biggest issue with him is that he just holds on to the ball too long. And the reason why he does is because he ain't got no help blocking. It's like he either has to get rid of it so fast or he's gonna have to hold on to it a little bit longer. Yep. Cam Ward, when I watch him, I need to see more, but I've seen a little bit of clips and how people describe him. You know how we remember when Le'Veon Bell used to early on with the Steelers and how he got drafted and stuff, and it's like either if you were a great fan of his running style or you hated it. How he he's so patient and it's like kind of herky jerky, but he finds that little hole and crease, but he waits so long. I look at Cam Ward kind of like that. Is that he waits. He's so patient that I think it could bite him in the behind once he faces great teams. Like right now, Miami is getting way because they ain't paying nobody good. Yeah, they play against Clemson. They play against Clemson with that defensive line and knowing how their defense, they like to play a lot. Like they like to show a lot of zero and they play a lot of coverage. They like
And
to play a
so,
lot of split coverage, very similar to how we played Georgia in that first half when we confused Carson Beck. The exact same defense Clemson runs, or they are similar.
and I think that's going. I think Cam Ward. I think he's really good, but I think he is overrated, a little overrated.
Yeah.
Because they don't pay extremely. They played Florida, and Florida is one of the most toughest teams for you. Then you ain't playing good quality opponents like that. That's going to really test you. Same thing with like the Florida State quarterback Kyron Jones. He worked him, Shador, Cam Ward, another quarterback. They all worked out together, and I watched like clips of them. And they're all joking, and they were trying to say who's the best quarterback and stuff. And I'm like, the best quarterback. Well, whoever is the best is going to get exposed once they play extreme competition. And I mean, we kind of seeing it. But I mean, back to the Alabama's that I think that this team is a good team, but the discipline and the standard that Nick Saban has, it ain't there.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
It's gone.
And that's why I'm not a believer in DeBoer. Is that that's a lot of shoes to live up to, and he ain't never I'm sorry. He's never. Let me say this: he didn't spend a long time with Nick Saban to understand and try to really be like Nick Saban's understudy. You know what I'm saying? I think it lacked a lot of discipline.
Sorry,
but even Kirby Smart, it took Kirby Smart a good couple of years to really understand what Nick Saban taught him.
Yeah,
you feel me? And Kellen DeBoer, he ain't got that. He got the players left.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, as far as the recruits, but the discipline. And I've been hearing some stuff behind the scenes that. I got some friends that's from Alabama stuff, and I'm hearing that the boosters and some people don't like what Caleb DeBoer has been doing. It could be a rumor.
It's different.
But I've been hearing some things
different. Like, and this is why I'm like I'm one of those guys. I still believe in Caleb DeBoer. Like I know for the most part offensively, I know an offensive staff is going to get established. Yeah. I know Jalen Murrow is a Kalen DeBoer like quarterback. The problem is he's only 1 year into the system. The offensive line, these are not. I'm telling you, these are. Look at Washington's offensive line from last year. Look at the guys that are on the offensive line besides Parker Brailsford. Look at the line this year. It's different. Like Kalen DeBoer, he likes speed. He likes agile offensive linemen. He likes speed. He doesn't like guys that are set up for more of a power run scheme. He likes guys that work into a zone scheme that's going to be running a lot of pin and pull. That's DeBoer's offense. It's speed, tempo, the receivers for them, like the receivers are like
so
like
pretty
like big body guys. He likes big body receivers. We don't have any. The only big body receiver we have is Caleb Odom.
So pretty much, I feel like people don't want to say that he's gonna be not what's the coach for the USC now?
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley. I think that y'all may have a Lincoln Riley.
I don't think we have a Lincoln Riley. I think we have a Chip Kelly.
Yeah, great offense, but the defenses they don't particularly care.
Yeah, but Chip found great defensive coordinators. I think that's the difference. Is that there are certain defensive coordinators that Chip Kelly will find, and then if you pair off with the right personnel with that defense. Their defense,
you can hit lightning in the bottom.
Is going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be a good defense. Like for instance, like 2010 Oregon when they had Casey Matthews and those guys. Like the personnel, personnel, but they fit the defense where we're able to fit what they did. And they ran a 4-2-5 defense. 2014 Oregon mostly just ran a nickel defense. But look at the guys that were playing. You had DeForest Buckner, like you had Armstead and Buckner, who were 295-pound defensive ends who were 6'7". These were 6'6", 6'7" dudes, that were mostly playing inside against run help. They weren't 320 guys, but there were certain archetypes that fit what Oregon loved to do on defense, which was one thing they were going to do. They had a lot of speed, and you were forced to play inside. You are not going to go outside the perimeter against Oregon.
Yeah. But the thing that worked out, and see, this is why people forget, is that the level of competition. If Oregon can beat any Georgia, Alabama on a one-off occasion, but can you beat those kind of level of intense teams 12 times a year? No. You feel me? And I think that's what Chip Kelly got away with, was the what is it called? Shoot, it's not even a Pac-12 no more. It's gone now. But back then, the teams other than USC, Oregon, and that's pretty much it, that was consistently good. Everybody else was trash. And the SEC, right. So it worked, but then guess what? When they faced tough competition, they got they behind beat in. And Kalen DeBoer, I think I'm not gonna say he has that mindset still, but it's like, yo, once Nick Saban's recruits get up out the way, it may be a rude awakening call for him, because it's like, yo, every week we are facing a team that is going to put belt to behind. And it's not, I think he relies on his skilled players too much, and a quarterback. I feel personally that even though the Falcons drafted Michael Penix, I feel like he's overrated. Michael Penix is overrated. And I could be proven wrong. Hopefully I am, because the Falcons got him. But I feel like, man, this Washington team should have really never. Yes, they made it to the playoffs, but man, Kalen DeBoer has a lot of holes.
Crimson is
exposed.
If that's true, if players are once again blaming it on anxiety, then it's a cultural issue.
Yeah,
that's culture.
Somebody saying it's anxiety or something? I haven't heard anything.
Yes, I guess one of the players. I'm gonna have to watch. It
oh
again.
Lord.
Yeah, but we had like
that's not good.
That crap in 2022 when he just blamed that shit on anxiety when we barely beat Texas. If we're using that excuse again, then it's a cultural issue.
Discipline's been kind of, and like I mentioned, I was going to say discipline's kind of been an issue. Even going back just a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Like with in that Texas game, I think we had something like 12 penalties that day or something like that.
Yeah. And that's because, again, Nick Saban, he tired. He didn't have the same ferocity like he used to have. I think I feel like Nick Saban just ran on his resume and his legacy. And so that's what carried, like, yo, you're going to show me respect because I've done it and I'm the best. But as far as like really had the energy to really discipline players, I think Nick Saban was rightfully so. This dude is 70 plus years old. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't have to put the same amount of energy as what he used to be. And now with him definitely gone, there ain't no person that you fear or respect. Kevin DeBoer doesn't have a resume. Nobody in college football has a resume outside of newly Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, put any other coach. Sarkisian don't got a resume. There ain't nobody in college football that has a resume that truthfully you should respect. And forget like the NIL and everything. That that factors in too. Or am I wrong with that?
In terms of coaching resume? Oh hell no! Like the only resume that matches Saban.
I'm talking about like respect. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, respect. No, the Kirby Smart. Right. I would say Kirby, Clemson. I mean, Dabo Sweeney. I would say Dabo, but I think the players are getting tired of it. Maybe not the players. The boosters are getting tired of it. The boosters.
Yeah, Dabo has a lot of goofy energy.
Yeah, like it's fun. He's a player's coach. He's a player's coach, so it's different compared to like the drill sergeant like mentality that a Nick Saban, a Kirby Smart, and this
is what I'm saying is that I was watching the podcast and they were saying that kind of drill sergeant coaching
It's
mentality is
She's
gone.
Yeah, it's
So
gone.
what does that leave you? If players ain't gonna give you that respect, then what does that leave you?
That's why I hate player coaches. Like players coaches, I hate players coaches because they try to be like the upside is that you have a coaching staff that is extremely relatable to the players. Like they're extremely relatable, and that can help when it comes to recruiting. That can extremely help when it comes to recruiting because players they want to play for coaches that they can trust. But the problem
It's very rare.
But you don't fear them.
Right. That's the problem though, is that when you're trying to be too friendly or you're trying to be too relatable to the players will get comfortable. They'll get too comfortable with you. And they may not like you start yelling at them, they be like, like they're not gonna really respect, they're not gonna fear you compared to like when he walks into the room, he commands respect. When Kirby Smart walks into the room, commands respect.
And
it's very rare.
There's not that no BS attitude.
Nope, we don't have it. That's the difference between DeBoer's not, and quite frankly, there's not a lot of coaches in college football that are like it. That's why Nick Saban and Kirby Smart was with Saban for over a decade.
This is what I'm saying.
Oklahoma. You watch Oklahoma now. Yes, their defense got it together, but again, like Lincoln Riley, he was under that Bob Stoops. He was under Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, so he understood the foundation. May not be the most the loudest coach in the room, but he understood the culture of Oklahoma football. So even Lincoln Riley kind of generated and kind of commanded respect. You watch Brent Venables, who won a national championship with Stoops, but he was under Dabble Sweeney for a decade. He was under him for a decade. So he's coming in and he's bringing in a different mentality that the players they're not used to. They're still not used to, and they're still trying to figure it out, and they're still trying to establish some sort of identity, man. Like that's the toughest thing is that when a coach leaves, their identity leaves with them. It doesn't matter if the players are there or not. The players, they're going to get used to a coach. They're going to start getting used to it's like that substitute teacher, man. Like you're so used to having a teacher in class that just commands respect. You're not going to act up when they're there. But as soon as that teacher leaves for the day and you find out that substitute teacher is going to come, what's going to happen? That kid's going to act up in the class. They're not going to respect that substitute teacher, no matter how good their resume is. Someone's going to test them. Someone's going to try them. And I feel like that's what, like when Saban left, his identity left with him. And now we're trying to figure out what sort of football team are we going to be. That's why, man, these next 2-3 recruiting classes, they can't come soon enough. They can't come soon enough, man, because
they can't miss.
Come soon enough. Yeah, you can't miss. It's extremely crucial that you hit on it because clearly the kids that are here, they're Saban. They fit into that pattern match defense that Saban runs. They fit more into, from an offensive skill standpoint, that could be a little different. But the players these players that are here at Alabama, they're not here for DeBoer, they're here for Saban. The kids,
and that's the cachet, and that's the cachet that y'all have for that might last the next 2 recruiting classes if everything still goes right. If y'all end up going 9-3, next year or this year, it's gonna be. I don't want to say it's gonna be a wrap, but I don't think Helen DeBoer has the level of intensity on the recruiting trail like Kirby has. That's why I said I correlate like the Star Wars, and Kirby is the last of a dying breed, and he just so luckily had the greatest of all time. And also, if you look at, do you know what the coaching tree of Kirby is as far as like his mentors?
Yep.
Is Nick Saban, and guess who Nick Saban's mentor is?
The Belichick.
And guess who Belichick's mentor is? Like people, if you look at the lineage, that's very rare. And those are the greatest coaches of all time. So it's hard for somebody that if you're not around greatness like that, you have to have a greatness about you that you can, upstart that. And I don't think Kalen DeBoer has that. Maybe he will, or maybe he does. But right now, I haven't seen it with his prior coaching, spots and what he's doing now. You know what I'm saying? And any program, not just Alabama, any program that's that's tough. That's tough to get the coaching right, and you don't have to worry about it no more.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
just sucks that
I agree. I mean, when you got Bill Parcells and Belichick, and then you have Saban, and now you have Kirby Smart. I mean, Kirby Smart's been around those guys since he's been coaching since the
yes,
late 90s.
he went straight from college into coaching.
Yep.
He had 1 year and was like, "Nah, I'm not good enough." Kirby and all those coaches have great self-awareness.
Yep.
Kirby,
Trinity. This is why I always say if Josh McDaniels and Brian Flores, they'll be great. If they coached in college, they'll be great college coaches.
Yes, they would be.
They would be great college coaches, especially if Josh McDaniels is more of an offensive guy. But what does he have? What does he know? He's known for having that Saban Belichick mentality. He's not a bad coach. Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins. I never blame Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins. I don't give a crap if he was yelling at Tua or not, or yelling at Tua or not. At the end of the day, Brian Flores is one of the best defensive minds in the game. They were winning 8-9 games, without Tua in a yearly basis, and he didn't get a fair shot because they didn't draft his guys.
Don't you know?
They drafted Tua.
Yep, I was about to say the guy that's coaching for the Jets. I feel bad for him because I feel like he got railroaded. Like he just got the job 3 years ago. The team that he got his first year, you can't really blame a coach in their first year like that. You have to give him more of opportunity. But he did not have a lot to work with. Then his second year, he gets Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles in the first game or so. And then this year, I'm like, dang. And I feel like maybe he might be a good college coach because he is a defensive guy and he does demand respect as far as the players.
And he comes from the Shanahan line. So he comes from the Shanahan line, just more of a defensive minded sort of guy. Who also, by the way, he came, look at the defensive coaches that was under him. Was mentored by
so he maybe if he can recruit, maybe he should take a college job and get that's what O'Boy did from the Panthers, and now he's coaching Nebraska. I can't think of his head coach. He went back to college, and I think maybe I think he would be a good college coach if he would if he would like to recruit.
I agree. Because that's a good post.
I think he would do a good job at Alabama. Imagine if Alabama could get him, since he's a free agent. If Alabama fires their defensive coordinator, y'all should try to get him, because I think he will bring a level of respect and be like, "Hey, I've coached at the NFL, even though I got fired. Hey, I've been around and I've been coaching a long time. You're gonna have to respect me. If not, hey, I've been to the NFL. You guys haven't." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that.
I
think that's a good thing to bring to the team.
Just I was just spitballing. I just thought, I'm like, ooh, because I like him. Robert Saleh, that's his name. Because before he was the defense coordinator for the 49ers, and the 49ers have always had a good defense.
I agree. Yeah, I think right now for this Bama coaching staff, we don't you watch that destroying video, and they talked about and Jalen Merrill, when he talked about how when Saban walked through the door, the music automatically cut off. But when the music continues to play all throughout the meetings for another 30, 40 minutes before they actually start to cut it off. That right there tells me all I need to know about your culture. It's a cultural shift. And sometimes that first year with these group of players that are Saban-like players, that sometimes it messes you up. It in a way, I'm a big believer it slows down your development as a player. Because imagine players that were there for about at least for about a year, so 365 days, and the workouts are more intense. That player meetings and meetings with coaches are way more intense. Are way more intense. The defensive schematics, that quarters pattern match defense, one of the most complex defenses you're ever gonna run. Very complex. And like, so it's not just from a schematic identity you're trying to figure out. It's a huge culture shift. And now players that are 2 years in, 3 years in, 4 years in, some players that are there for 5 years, they're not used. They are not used at all to fun time. Like it's fun time. Like you now have a players coach who's willing to let things slide. Like when Jalen Miro, like I remember when Jalen Miro, man, when he said that when he completed, I think it was like a post route, it was like he hit it on a post route, and Jalen Miro was ready to move on to the next play. Kalen DeBoer is telling Jalen Miro to celebrate. And Jalen Miro was like, "Wait, what? You want me to celebrate? But I thought we were supposed to move on to the next play." Like, nah, man, you hit that throw, celebrate. Like, it's different, and I think that this is something that Bama fans we gotta get. I'm ready to move on to the next year. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm ready, not because I gave up on the season, but because these group of players, these are Saban players, and it is clear as all hell and it's clear as all day that the identity is not there with this football team, at least as of yet. And it may take time in order for them to kind of get used to it. But so far, like this next class can't come in soon enough. Like, we got to get players in the DeBoer culture.
And the bad thing, like you're saying, oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the real question is like, when we get the Kalen DeBoer players in, will the stuff like the false starts, the high penalty games slow down, or will we be winning, but we'll still be having these head scratching discipline related moments?
Yeah, but that's coaching. Like, that's the culture. Look, having penalties, you can fix that with the quickness. If you really punish them and be like, hey, if y'all false start, if y'all are offsides jumping, that's a real fixable, offense. And that's just a lack of discipline by the coaching staff and the players. But I was gonna say is that, like, don't you know, like, I can't say it. So, like, the Alabama struggles is y'all are struggling against inferior teams.
Yeah, that too.
If it was against Georgia, it wouldn't be as big of a deal.
Yeah,
because of the respect. Y'all again, it's very funny how the media wants to equate Georgia losing to Alabama on the road to Alabama losing to Vanderbilt on the road. Yeah. And then Alabama struggling. That's totally different.
Yeah.
Against Vandy, against I was about to say Mississippi State. Georgia's playing them right now. But South Carolina, shoot, even if y'all struggled against Florida ain't the same no more. These teams y'all should be blowing these teams out.
Yeah.
Y'all had a de facto home game last week. Everybody has a home game against Vandy. And that's what is the shocker, Jance.
We lost because, well, the excuse was because we've never seen an offense like Vanderbilt who runs and, they've run an option offense. It's a more modern option offense. But
that's an excuse. Georgia Tech runs it all the time.
Right. That's excuse. It's like wow. And then all of a sudden the players, they're not going to sell out. But we all know, scout team wise, it's like how prepared. I don't want to hear this crap about we had a limited amount of time to prepare for Vanderbilt. We were so focused on Georgia for all those weeks because we had the bye week and stuff like that. We can't use that excuse. We cannot use that excuse about this is an option offense because Vanderbilt dominated you up front. They nobody
was talking about that.
Triple option offense because they destroy them up front.
Yeah,
they kill them up front. So
it's a physicality issue.
Exactly.
So
undisciplined. I can understand my secondary struggling because I have 3 freshmen playing back there. I can understand that they're going to go ahead and make mistakes, and it's going to take some time for them to understand. But I expect my defensive line and I expect my 2 preseason All-American linebackers to play better, especially in coverage sets, and they're not playing better. Now, a big reason why is because of Womack, because he's not putting them in the right positions. We have nose tackles playing 3-tech. We have a 3-tech playing a 5-tech. We have a 5-tech playing out wide. The reason why Jaheim Otis transferred was again, Last year, Jaheim Otis was a crucial piece to Bama's defense. Why is he not getting a lot of playing time? Because he's playing out of position. He's not just hurt, he's also playing out of position. So you have, of course, you're gonna have a Renaud and a James Smith and a Latham that's gonna play up front of you, smaller guys that can't really, they can't eat space.
Hey, gents, I feel like, the thing with Vanderbilt, the thing where it would have been a hangover game, I feel like it would have been more understandable if we had started out slow in the first half like we did, then pulled away in the second half.
Yeah, that's normally what we do. We're in these fights because these coaches they're not understanding the personnel, and then again, our personnel are not making plays when they're not playing assignment football, and then there's missed tackles, there's missed blocking assignment. We saw in the Saban
era, or many other teams, they'll have these struggle games, but while it's a struggle game, they're not losing the game. They're just not playing to their best. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hey, Crimson, that's a good comment. Crimson, that's the crazy part. You expect the secondary to be the weakness of your team. Honestly, I would have been fine with that if their secondary would have had their struggles, because at the end of the day, I know that that's inexperience. I know that pattern that what you ran last year from a secondary standpoint it's going to be a lot tougher transition to make with a lot of this personnel who's quite frankly never played in this sort of defensive scheme when you're running a 4-3, 4-2-5 and a nickel set. It's a lot more understandable. But your linebackers and your defensive line, it's the worst part of your team, which is scary because that's supposed to be the strength of your football team this year.
Yeah.
Have a question go ahead.
I was gonna say, as much as Tennessee has struggled, they're a really good running team.
Yeah, but I feel like y'all can't exploit. I feel like Tennessee's overrated, but the way y'all are playing, it doesn't even matter because if y'all struggling against Vandy and South Carolina, and to be fair, I think y'all really should have lost. Y'all should have lost the South Carolina game.
Should have lost today.
Yeah.
But because the South Carolina coach, he's a joke to me. I think he's a good guy, but he's a good guy. His father is legendary, but man, he is just so bad with his situations. Like, you have 40 seconds in the middle of the field, and you tell me you can't do a 5-yard slant and kneel the ball or stop the clock. Like, he literally ran 20 seconds on the clock.
And we're giving them 10
and
yards.
Y'all get. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I'm like, man, you can run some mesh, like you can run some mesh and
he just terrible. But I'm not trying to trash anybody, but I'm like, man,
you get 25 yards in your field goal range.
Yeah, 25 with 40 seconds. Even though they had no timeouts, you can always kneel once you get a first down.
Kneel it, spike it, kneel it.
And the first down stops the clock in college.
Yeah,
we're giving you the underneath. We're playing.
That's all
we're playing quarters, but we're playing so deep that, man, like, we're giving you so much space. We're giving and how bad our tackling has been. I mean,
Georgia has the same issue. You know what? I don't know what is up with tackling this year.
Terrible.
With a lot of teams. Georgia got the same problem. I get it. It's a lack of discipline, but no, but didn't they do a new rule? Or maybe that's the NFL where they're saying that you can't hit tackle or something stupid.
It's rarely called though. Like college, they didn't apply in the college. It's more of an NFL rule, but it rarely gets called. Like I've seen so many hip drop tackles, it's ridiculous, and they just haven't called it. So it needs to be like a very egregious, very blatant hip drop.
And question, and this is what pisses me off at like coaching. Okay, these holding calls, it's very. Like, there were so many blatant, especially on the tackle, holding when your right tackle was holding the heck out of the defensive end. What was his name? He was burning y'all tackles.
Bernard tore him up.
And they didn't call it like they didn't call it when Alabama was driving down the field, and then it was like they started calling it on that with a couple minutes left in the game to help South Carolina. It was like very weird with the like with the refs.
The
I don't want to keep on
officiating has been
saying
bad for
like
years.
I feel like refs pick and choose when they want to. It seems like they get a call and be like, "Hey, yo, we want this game to be tighter," or when it's like, "Yo, just call it straight up the whole game. If it got to
Yeah.
be 20 penalties, don't just pick and choose when you
Refs
want to
have been
call." And
the refs.
there's always holding, but I'm like, it just seemed like the momentum, like after y'all scored y'all touchdown, and I thought it was a wrap. And y'all got they did the onside kick, which is that's one of the greatest squib kick. It kind of really wasn't a squib kick, but it was. But that was a great spin on that ball that kicker
It was.
did.
Yeah.
It
I'm
was,
like
man. It's like
that.
Quavis, you gotta catch the ball, man. Like you
Right.
gotta figure out a way how to do it. And then even then, you had a second man. I forgot who it was that should have fell on the ball as well and did
Right.
right.
That's the most frustrating. That's the first thing we teach, coaching is, just fall on the ball. Don't try to pick it up. Don't
Yeah.
do nothing. Just fall. And people, it's always infuriating to watch. It's like, yo, and then the second, third guy misses. It seems it's like, yo, is there butter on the football? Like what's happening? But that was a crazy ending. It was really a crazy ending.
But back to the officiating thing, it's like officiating has been bad for what, at least 5, 6, 7, 8
Yeah.
years now.
Yes.
It's and in the NFL, I heard they actually discipline refs for bad calls, but they don't have any of that in
No, they
college.
don't. That's the thing. They don't. They don't.
Oh, they don't?
They say that they do, but it's like if there's a discipline, then why do they keep on having the same issue? It's the same mistake every time,
Yeah,
and it's because that the refs, it's not. It's not. This is not their daily job. This is something. It's a hobby.
like Uncle Lou says, they're basically they're high school teachers during the week, and then on the
Yeah.
weekend they drive to go officiate a big game.
Yep.
So
Which I would love to have that job. I would love the ref.
yeah, it's like a side gig to them, right?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think they have a union. I don't know what it is. It just seems like they're just another they're just paid by the NCAA or NFL, and it's just we're gonna because refs always say after the game, if it's a really bad call, they overturn it after the game. But it's like the game's already won or lost. What's the point of you overturning a call that you did that you could have corrected in time? Because all these Uncle Lou, I love watching Uncle Lou, but it's like, yo, why does it take 10 minutes for you to call that's clearly, it's not that hard. It's not
Yeah,
that hard to see. And you are on the field, you got all the technology, you got the big jumbotrons, every stadium got it, and it takes 15 minutes,
yeah,
7,
it's
8 minutes.
crazy. It's like it's. I know there's like long reviews, but even for like the ticky tacky calls, I feel like they should be able to just look at one or two replays of it, and then and decide if they want to go with that call or overturn that penalty flag.
Yep. I'm like, people at home, even though I know it's like a minute delay from actually being there and
Yeah,
at home,
when the
but
refs huddle up and talk to each other, they could be looking at the replay during that moment.
exactly. And I'm like, yo, if people could see it at home on their TVs, there ain't no way that you can't see it.
Yeah.
But it's just odd to me. Is that it seems like if people want to say it's scripted, it's like these calls be coming in. Even when Georgia played Alabama, Georgia wasn't getting none of the calls, and then later in the fourth quarter, they were starting to get defensive pass interference calls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was just like are you trying to make this game more suspenseful? Like, just call it fairly.
Yeah, it's but when there's no discipline or whatever behind it, these refs will do what they want.
Yep. So I don't know.
There's nobody there to uphold a standard given to those refs.
Yeah.
So like there's nobody at like the referee office watching every call they do and then like, getting on to them when they make a bad call.
Yep. Well, like they say that it goes to the SEC office in Alabama somewhere. That's what they always say, but
it's whatever it is, it's there appears to be basically no management in it.
Yeah. So who knows?
Other than just which refs go to which game, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, okay. Question to you and Jance. What defensive system do you think Alabama should run?
3-4.
Is it because of the players, or is it because you like that scheme? You just like that scheme better.
I think the 3-4. I think a little bit of both. I need both my defense. I need my nose to be back in the middle. I need the space eater. I need space eaters, and I need two other defensive tackles that are heavy. I need them to be heavy, and then I need my natural players that can play edge. Quindarius Robinson, and this is a testament to his athleticism. He is not an edge rusher. He is an off-ball linebacker. The fact that Quindarius Robinson is probably one of our best edge players when we're because when we're most that's not good. Now, again, Quay Rousseau, when he's in, he is one of our best edge rushers. He's probably the best.
I was about to bring him up.
So you have like you have like a Quay Rousseau, and then the opposite end hell, I mean, I would even trial maybe LT Overton, because I know LT Overton can play edge, but whether if you want to slide him onto the inside, it is what it is on that aspect. But I mean, for the most part,
he might be a really good fire technique.
Yes, like my defensive tackles I need them to play heavy. I don't need them. I'm tired of it. I need to play heavy. We gotta establish the interior. We gotta establish some sort of interior from a pass rushing standpoint. We can collapse, like we can push the pocket to a point where our edge defenders can collapse. But I mean, again, like if Jaheim Otis and Tim Keenan last year were dogs last year when they played. Why? Because these were your best run defenders. These were guys that were heavy. And then if we needed to do nickel, then of course we can go to a different rotation. I just think that for the most part, our formations, we're not as organized with player personnel fitting the formations like we were in the past. Like with Kirby and Pruitt and the rest of those guys, even a Pete Golden, there were certain players that fit exactly what sort of concept you wanted to run. I think
Pete Golding held this same South Carolina team to 3.
Right. I think this year it's a mess. Like we have different players that are playing in different formations, whether it's a 4-3, 3-3-5, or a 4-2-5, that they just don't fit. They don't fit that. They don't fit it. Like there's no reason why at certain times Tim Keenan's playing as a 5. He does. Why is that? Why is he playing as a 5? It makes no sense. Like, and we're using him in nickel sets. He's not a guy that can play, that plays the nickel. If he's gonna do it, you play him in the middle. You don't play him out wide. So I think that we're disorganized, man. We don't have the right personnel. It's not the fact that we can't play in this defense. I just don't think that we have a coaching staff that right now that understands where these players are supposed to play at in this defense. And Crimson, I mean, Freddie Roach has been terrible. Great recruiter, terrible developer of that position.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. Like we're gonna have to make some serious changes.
Our D line has kind of been questionable for a few years now, hasn't it?
Yeah. Last year it was better. Like first half it was rough. Second half we got better because we plugged Keenan in. We just added him. We just increased his reps and added him more into the rotation. And then we became a much better football team, way better football team. But this year last year the biggest issue was depth. This year, I don't even think depth is the issue. I just don't think that these players fit. They don't fit it. And some people may disagree with me and say that, yeah, listen, we've always ran some iteration of a 4-2-5. Yeah, of course, every SEC defense runs some sort of iteration of a 4-2-5, but they have the right players that fit the formation. We don't. It's unorganized right now.
That's well, it's who do you think will I still have a lot of Bama friends that are still telling and still wanting to give Kane Womack a second chance, but I'm Hellman.
No, I'm off.
I'm off the Kane Womack train, aren't you?
I'm off of it. I'm off. We don't have to. I mean, because like, what are you gonna do next year? Like next year, your team is gonna be even more young. Like your team is gonna be younger than it was this year. Like, so if we can't get it right, this year, and if he can't run, and if we can't get if he can't get the personnel right to run these sort of formations, I have no confidence he's going to do it next year when we have a fresh new defensive line. When we have a fresh defensive line the following season, I have no confidence. So I'm off the Kane Womack bandwagon, and I'm willing to go to somebody else that just says, you know what. Give me someone who understands player personnel. If you give me somebody that at least understands player personnel, then we can talk about okay, we can talk about play calling. And that stuff is a different time. Give me somebody that just understands how to use player personnel, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Do you think we should? Do you think someone like a Zach Garnett would be a good option?
I wouldn't mind it. Me personally,
I remember Zach Garnett turned the Mississippi State defense that isn't really well as compared to other people in the SEC, not all that talented, into one of the top defenses in the SEC.
Yeah, DeBoer likes the 4-2-5 though. Like that's what he likes. That's the defensive style that he wants. He wants a 4-2-5. Defense
and is there a way we can still have a great defense by great like first best or second best in the conference with the 4-2-5?
It's possible. You have the right players.
Yeah,
I think a 4-2-5 has to be like a hybrid. I think that would be the best kind of defense for you.
Yep.
For you guys.
Is that hot?
No, it's good. And it's the same thing like Georgia, but I think it's the coaching. I think it's the way, because Georgia kind of runs a hybrid, kind of defensive front, but it's because of Kirby. It works. I don't think, in the level of respect, I don't think any defense that y'all run, y'all, it's still gonna be holes because of your coordinators and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it's one thing that if a scheme fits your players, is one thing, and if they play out of position. But if you got the coaches that, with the level of talent that y'all do have, your players should be able to adapt. Yes, you could, you might fit a little bit better, but shoot, like the defenses now is like a mixture of defenses and different coverages. Back then, it wasn't as complex. Now, it's a mix all the time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I do.
And I think it's coaching that is really, it's just a lack of the attention to detail is what's killing y'all on the defensive end.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Yes, I mean, because as much as we blame Kane Womack, these dudes got to tackle. I mean, again, missed tackles, missed assignments, not these players refusing to play in structure. I mean,
it's the little things.
The little things that's killing you, and it's
Is that a product of bad discipline or bad fundamentals or both?
Oh, it's a mixture of everything. It's a mixture of everything, but it's just like it's really everybody's tripping. That's like everybody is tripping right now. It seems like Alabama needs to get a bye week to get everything sorted out. I feel like the bye week. I just thought about this. I feel like the bye week
before LSU, right?
Oh, the next bye week y'all got?
I think it's not till before LSU, which is in November, if I recall correctly, right?
Let me take a look at the schedule. Let me bring that up.
Because I have.
It was nice talking to you guys. I gotta get going, and I'll talk to you later, gents. And hey, and I'm not sure what your name is.
Trinity Clark. Yeah, that's my name.
If you'd like to add me on Discord, and my username is Minecraft Gamer, and I'll be glad to talk more football later.
Facts. Yeah, man. It was good speaking with you too.
All right. Have a good day.
You too, man. But yeah, James, what's your schedule looking like?
Let me take a look at ESPN because I don't know why I'm trying to Google it. ESPN. I hope we have a bye. I hope if we don't have another bye, we are cooked. We're gonna lose another game if we don't have another bye.
Because I have a theory, bro, and I'm thinking that bye week was probably the worst thing for the Alabama team. Instead of y'all playing Wisconsin into Georgia, because I feel like that bye week, it got into their heads that only thing we got to focus about is Georgia. And we got to start fast and we got to do this and that. And I feel like y'all concentrated so much on Georgia that y'all didn't look at the bigger picture. Instead of with Georgia, when you look at Georgia, and this is a criticism, is that Georgia starts slow. But Kirby Smart, because he's been through this, every game he's looking at the bigger picture. He's not trying to have a complete game early in the season. I think it's like building up to it. And that's what Nick Saban used to do. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, if we beat Georgia, we should be good for the rest of the year because we beat the best.
Yeah.
Or,
So after Missouri, that's when Bama has a bye. They have a bye after Missouri. So a much needed bye, but you play Tennessee next. You play Tennessee next week, and then you play Missouri. So those are going to be two tough games that you got to figure out a way to win one. I mean, you could afford one of those games, but I'm telling you, 10-2 is pushing it. You're on the brink. Like, you're on the brink of missing the playoffs if you lose another game. So
I think y'all have to beat Tennessee more than Missouri because Tennessee has to still play Georgia.
Yeah, you got to win. Yeah.
I think y'all have to beat Tennessee, and then if y'all do lose, Missouri is not a bad option. Yeah. if it was like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, but obviously you got to win those games. What's up? What's going on?
What's up, bro?
It was good. I was just gonna ask, like, what's like the ceiling of this team now? Because we saw like them go crazy against Georgia in the first half. I just don't know where that went. So I was gonna just ask that real quick.
I think 10-2.
10-2.
I think y'all almost lost today.
Yeah, I had it 10-2. I had it 10-2 even before this thing came out. I just thought we were going to lose to Georgia, and I thought Oklahoma. I think those were our two losses going in.
But it's the way. It's the way that's concerning.
Yeah, it's the way that it's extremely concerning because that first half against Georgia, everything worked out because, in my opinion, I think Trinity's been saying all the time, we over prepared for Georgia. We were running a lot of like split coverage, a lot of disguise coverage, coverages on Carson Beck, and Carson Beck's a 4-week guy, so we were confusing him. Like one side of the field, he was seeing cover 2, the other side of the field, he's seeing kind of cover 3, and so he's kind of confused. He was extremely confused in that first half. Offensively, what we did, we ran a lot of pin and pull, a lot of motion, but we were able to kill Georgia off the perimeter, we were able to kind of kill them off the perimeter. And Georgia wasn't running. I mean, they weren't really running a lot of zone into the second quarter. But even then, like we ran everything perfectly in that first half. And then the second half came, and it was like, okay, we went right back to the Bama team of Washington, Kentucky, South Florida,
Tampa,
it's Wisconsin, and now Vanderbilt in South Carolina. Like we have shown a small that Georgia game was a small sample size of what this team could be, but the rest of those games, it shows. Like we are extremely young. We are extremely young, not just from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. They don't understand their personnel. These players, for the most part, it's a cultural issue from a player standpoint, and quite frankly, it's It's going to be a struggle, man. Like, there's going to be a lot of close games. I don't expect Bama to blow out a lot of teams. It's going to be a lot of close games. It's going to be a lot of struggles, and we'll see how this team is going to progress.
Yeah, I was just really disappointed in the offense, to be honest. Like, I knew the defense was just like questionable, but the offense hasn't really been helping. Like, they've just been playing okay. Like, they've played to win the game in the past. Like, they scored 35 points against Vandy. You would hope you would win that game. And then they played okay enough to beat South Carolina. And we face Tennessee next week. And we know Josh Heupel is, an offensive-minded coach. So I just really worried about what's going to happen in the future.
Alan, don't get me started on my Buffalo Bills. Same crap is going on with Alabama. Same thing is going on with them. But no, Tennessee for them. I mean, Tennessee, we all know what they're going to do. Veer, it's going to be a Veer offense. I think they're going to primarily run the ball, get like 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6 sort of chunks. Establish the passing game, focus on underneath. But Tennessee's biggest issue is their pass blocking sets are terrible. They are not a good offensive line from a pass blocking standpoint, but just from a philosophical issue, they're going to do what Vandy did and what South Carolina did. They're going to take long, methodical drives. They're going to try to establish a ground game. And then sooner or later, they're going to take the difference between South Carolina and Tennessee's going to take more vertical shots, especially off that veer look when they're going to spread us out a lot more, very similar to what South Florida did. They're going to take more shots because they can, knowing how young and how inexperienced the secondary actually is. So we'll see, man.
And we know now Tennessee, they actually have a defense. Like, that's probably going to be one of the toughest defenses that we face all year. And I don't really have hope.
But they're not complex.
Yeah, they're not.
They see, and when I look at, and this is what I'm saying is that it's either what we were talking about the first half against the Georgia game, in the second half, Kirby Smart. This is Kirby Smart's prowess, is that he knows how to see what worked and what didn't work, and then we change it in real time. He's the best. He's the best at that in real time.
They're not great at making adjustments.
And what Tennessee isn't.
Yep. Tennessee, they'll show like what they'll show you is what they'll play. They don't run a lot of disguise.
They're not complex.
Zone. Nope.
Okay.
What they show you is what they'll see. So if they show 0, they're gonna run 0. If they show cover 1 with a robber, that's what they're gonna be. That's what they're gonna be running. They play a lot of man coverage with no safety help. They play a lot of it.
And then, and I feel like, and this is what I was saying prior to the Vandy game and then this game, if I was an Alabama fan, I wouldn't have been as worried as much, as because Tennessee, with their head coach, with him not having a great imagination, and he's once you figure out that offense and you figure out their ticks and tendencies, it's straightforward. And Alabama has the players. You got the talent to do that. Tennessee doesn't have better players than y'all. Yes, they may have a better pass rush advantage on their defense, but vice versa on the opposite side, they don't have a strong O-line. Y'all have better pass rushers than Tennessee. But once y'all figure out how things are ran, see, I don't see Alabama, and this is what I questioned last week, is that I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is a good coach as far as making adjustments in the second half.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen that. With Kirby Smart in Georgia, we know that is a Kirby Smart. If you're going to beat Georgia, you're going to have to beat him early in the first half, and you're going to have to put it to him the whole game. If not, he makes an adjustment every time. But no of the coaches has that kind of have that coaching ability, and Tennessee's coach don't. And I don't know if Kalen DeBoer has that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, the second half adjustments, I don't know. Like, against Vanderbilt, I don't know. The second half, we just didn't. I don't know what happened. And the same thing against South Carolina in this game. We came out, looking, trying to like get some stops, we actually got lucky. We got a fumble, and then they had another Vandy type 8-minute long drive that I thought we're about to lose the game because of that.
Bruh. And yeah, in the third quarter, right? Beginning of the third
Yeah,
quarter.
yeah,
I
that
was
long. I thought we were about to lose the game because I was like, bro, this is looking exactly how Vandy did this. Like they went because in the first half they were playing like a regular, type of offense, and then the
Yep.
second half they started mixing like those Vandy type of options, and we just couldn't stop it. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Because the
Another
South
Um,
Carolina coach is trash. He
Yep,
stopped
another.
doing what worked.
Yep. And that's the difference, man. But that's South Carolina. I mean, Arkansas. I mean, South Carolina, and I'll give them credit. South Carolina should have one loss this season.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
only
They beat
team
Kentucky.
Yep.
They smacked Kentucky.
Yep. The only team they definitively lost to was Ole Miss. Every other team, I mean, that loss to LSU, they should have won that game. The Bama game, they should have won. They should be 5-1, and a lot of it is because of their defense. They have a solid secondary. They have two great outside corners. Their defensive line is the truth. The biggest issue with them is coaching, game management, clock game management, clock management. No matter how you want to spin it, and their offense. Their offensive line is terrible. They have no playmakers on the outside. They have a running game with Sellers, and then you have Raheem Sanders, but their defense has been carrying them. And their defense has been winning them a bunch of football, has been keeping them in a bunch of games.
And it's really their D line. It's really their front. They're two nose guards. They got two big D linemen, and then they just got the edge rushers to go after. But I don't think they have enough depth because they play their starters a lot, and later down the season, that's gonna bite them in the behind. Just from they don't have the depth, but I mean, y'all have said it pretty much. And I think that's just the question Alabama, their coach staff has to answer is one: do y'all got plays, but do y'all have the coaching acumen in the right moments, to bring you over? Once the other team has the same amount of players, do you have the coaching acumen to bring it over? And I don't know. I don't see it in DeBoer yet.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
and he's never had to do that on the dealing with the Pac-12. But you can't bring your same philosophy into the SEC.
yeah, and I mean, we saw the high potential in the first half against Georgia, so we obviously see the ceiling of where the team could be, but we also see what the base level of the team. Like this is how they're going to play every week, and I don't know if they can fix it. I just don't know. And the fact that South Carolina had so many mistakes and they were still in the game, missed a field goal, had a fumble, even had it. I don't even know. Like I don't. Can we even beat Missouri? Like I don't know.
Every game, a team is going to have a great chance of beating us, and that's like the first, like they have a great chance of winning. You know what? That's actually a good point. That's another good point that we have: the ice cream trucks. The like we have an arcade system within the Elmore facility right now,
Real.
playing nonstop. Like it's just like it's Disneyland.
Y'all got all the flash, but no substance.
Right, it's freaking Disneyland in Elmore.
And that's what Clemson. When Clemson, after their Trevor Lawrence, and they built was it a water park on the thing, or like it's like y'all focusing on the wrong things. Like I've been hearing behind the scenes that y'all don't do Bloody Tuesdays.
Nope.
Like Kirby Smart. This is why I said is that Georgia is very fortunate to have Kirby, but Kirby, is from Georgia. That's his alma mater. But this dude took exactly what Nick said, his mentor, and just took it from what his mentor done, and then brought it to his team, and he has his own little flavor.
Oh, let me talk
and Georgia has Bloody Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
Alabama apparently don't got that anymore, which is kind of crazy to me. Okay,
I'll say this because this pissed me off. This definitely pissed me off. If Bernard just sits down at the 1, the game is over because they have no timeouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And instead, he scores a touchdown. That's coaching. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's game management. That's not telling your players in this particular situation, you get a first down here, or listen, we're going to go for the big play. You catch the ball, don't score. That's coaching. And he just
Or maybe or maybe he chose to ignore it, which is even worse.
Which is again because that's still coaching, because that the player doesn't have respect for you. The players don't respect you enough for you to listen to. Not enough for you to go in structure. I'm telling y'all, man, it's a cultural issue within this team. And like you said before, Georgia with the Bloody Tuesdays. Hell, I mean, we used to have a ritual. We used to have a ritual, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right after we watch film, guess what? Put the pads on for about an hour, a good hour. Put the pads on. After we watch film, we don't take breaks. An hour, we go hard. We put full contact. We don't. It's not intense. Practice.
To be fair, even if y'all bring it back, it probably even wouldn't hit the same. Even if y'all was like, you know what, I am gonna do with Nick Saban. I saw, but it's because he's not Nick Saban. It's not gonna hit the same. Like you can copy the same game plan, but how you like implement that game plan, that's what's going to be different. And again, I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is like that. I mean, we know no other team in the country is like that, because we hear, coaching staffs, they be like, yo, whatever Georgia does, these dudes come straight into the NFL. They outwork everybody else. Like it's a daily grind. And a lot of teams are missing that. I think maybe Texas might be the closest. See, I'm not sold on Texas yet. I feel like there's something that's missing with that team. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not. I mean, look, Georgia's about to see next week. Y'all got Tennessee. We have to go away at Texas.
Go ahead. I also had a question.
Mm-hmm.
What about why can we not run the ball? Like we only run with Jalen Monroe and barely. Teams are now just sitting there, and we just can't run the ball. I just don't really understand.
And he was getting smacked today. Did y'all see his hits?
Mm-hmm.
On Jalen Monroe? He was getting up in that third, fourth quarter. He was getting up slow.
I don't think we have the interior. I don't think that in this run scheme, I don't think we have the I don't know if it's the coaching or I don't know if it's the run scheme or if it's your personnel that's just terrible. Jaden Roberts got benched today. He got benched for Van Mark Roberts has had 2 rough games. You benched him, you put Van Mark in because you wanted more wanted more agility out there so you can start running a lot more pen and pull. But our interior offensive line in terms of generating push, it's not there. They're hardly generating any sort of push, and so the holes, it's not there. It's closed right before the running backs can even try to hit it. So what are the running backs going to try to do? They're going to try to bounce it. And now these defenses, what are they start doing? They're collapsing the edge. So it's going to make it a lot harder for these runners to bounce from the outside, which they always wanted to do. Jam is not a physical runner. Or he's Jam, he's a one hit, one cut type of guy he's very, very explosive, but he's not the best running back after contact. Justice Haynes is a patient runner. He's not the most explosive. He's not quick. He's not even fast, but he's very, very patient. He can read the hole, and once he sees it, and once he sees that it's set up, that's when he'll go and he'll get you some good yards. We don't have a Brian Robbins. We don't have tough physical runners that even though you're gonna, they'll get mid at the point of the tackle, or if the hole, no matter how small the hole is, they can get you extra yards of contact. Sanders, a lot of those holes a lot of those holes weren't open. But what happened? He'll get you 2-3 yards of contact because of how big he is, how the size of how he is, and that can wear down defense, even if you play perfect assignment football. We played a lot of our run assignments pretty well today. But what happened? This defense got worn down to death because they just kept, because of Raheem Sanders, how tough and how brutal and how physical he is. So I don't know, man. I don't think that I think that again, you gotta have a great offensive line for these running backs. I don't think that these running backs don't make the offensive line. The offensive line makes the running backs, and I just don't think I don't know if it's the run scheme or if it's your player personnel that is they can't get it down. But your interior offensive line in terms of run blocking it's been terrible. It's been terrible, man, since the Georgia game.
And I don't know how we're gonna fix that. And I also had another question. What about our tight ends? Like we had some like good tight ends. I think we also had like a transfer from Maryland. We're just
Yeah,
not
Free.
using him. I don't know what. Like he was actually really good, and I don't know why we're not using him.
We're not running a lot of 12 personnel. We're not running a lot of 12, 13 personnel like we thought we were going to be running again. We ran a lot of it, I think, this game, but for the entirety of the season, it's not been there. We've been running a lot of 11, but I don't know. Like you got to have some playmaker step up. Now, Cole Adams, credit to him, made a big play, but you got to get Jalen Hale is hurt. Kobe Prentice, I think, was in concussion. I don't even think he played in this game because of the concussion protocol. I think he'll play next week. But you got to get more playmakers. Kendrick Law's hurt. You got to, I don't know. You got to figure out a way how to try to get these playmakers involved for you.
Yeah.
I agree with y'all.
And I think the most scary matchup, in my opinion, would have to be I think LSU. I think LSU could probably honestly. I think we can. I don't know. I think we can probably lose LSU. Probably lose to Tennessee. I think we beat Mizzou. I don't think Mizzou's that. I don't think Mizzou is like good. And I think the last Oklahoma. I think it'd be Oklahoma too, but I don't really know. I don't really. When you lose to Vanderbilt, you can lose to any team. So
Oklahoma is just they're a better version of South Carolina. They don't look like it right now because they're getting smoked by Texas. They're a better version of South Carolina. Their defense is better
Because they have a better coach.
Yeah, exactly.
They're Venables. That's who y'all should have hired. That's who y'all should have hired. Y'all should have brought Brent Venables in. Because here's my thing: the Nick Saban. Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I cut you off, bro.
No, you're good. I finished. Go ahead.
I was about to say is that y'all should have brought once Brent Venables left Clemson, y'all should have brought him in to take over Nick Saban. I don't think the Nick Saban him retiring was a last minute decision. I think people knew behind the scenes probably 2 years that he was going to be, retiring. And I think he would have been a great successor because he has that level of respect, his coaching, and he's a defensive guy. So defensive coaches are always more sturgeon, they're more stern, they're more, you're gonna respect me. Offense, they're flashy. With defensive guys, that's why they say defensive coaches make the best head coaches, not offensive guys. Because defense, you have to know the game even more than on offense side. But I feel like Brent Venables, he's a far better coach than what's the guy from South Carolina. But I do disagree that I don't think y'all can afford another loss, and definitely not another 2. Because of that Vandy loss, that took a lot of credibility away from y'all. After what y'all built up with beating Georgia, losing to Vandy just takes away all the steam and all the favor. I think maybe y'all could afford a loss. I think Tennessee is the only affordable loss that y'all can have.
Because I think Tennessee, you're gonna need help. You're gonna need help if you lose it. Like if you lose to Tennessee, and if it's a competitive game and Tennessee goes out and wins a bunch of football games, that's gonna help your cause. Even if you lose to Vandy, it's still not gonna guarantee you a spot though. Like if
y'all can't lose an SEC championship. Also, too, I think Georgia is the only team in the country that could afford 3 losses and still make the playoffs because of their schedule. Our schedule was so tough. We still got 4 top 15 teams left.
No, you need help. You need.
Georgia has Tennessee, Texas, Ole Miss, and I think we got another. Oh, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is surprising me. Georgia Tech is a top 25 team this year. Barely, but they, if they keep on winning, that's 4 more ranked teams that Georgia will have compared to anybody else in the country. Alabama losing to Vandy, it's like it hurts. Like, who else outside of LSU and Tennessee do y'all got? And y'all cannot lose to Auburn. Even if y'all beat Tennessee, LSU, if y'all lose to Auburn, it's dang near the same as losing to Vandy.
Yeah, same situation. It's like it's done. And knowing how we play, I'm not confident that we're gonna definitively beat Auburn. I'm not. Even if we're at home, I'm not definitively confident. You lose to Auburn, you're done. You can't.
I'm sorry to say that to y'all.
No, it's the truth. I mean, this is the truth. Like, we lose one more ranked opponent. I don't care if we're 10-2. We're not making. First of all, 10-2. We're not making it to the conference championship. That's done with. It's done. And even if we do make it to the conference championship, you have to win the game. If you lose that game, you're done. Like, we put ourselves in a very tough situation by losing the game. Like,
and almost losing to South Carolina.
Yep.
Wait,
I personally think y'all gonna beat Tennessee and LSU. I think y'all are, but I feel like y'all might end up losing to an Auburn or something, a team that is nowhere near y'all level.
And that's definitely a possibility. And I think we can technically still make the playoffs. I think we can still afford another loss against like a good actual ranked opponent, because I feel like there's some SEC bias, which makes sense. But yeah, we just can't lose against no cupcake team like Auburn. We lose against Auburn, the season over. And I feel like if we made the conference championship and we lose that game,
y'all should not play Georgia. I think, and I said this last week when I called in, whenever Kirby gets a second look on a team, it is a wrap. And the only again person that I'm not gonna say Kirby feared, but I think he has so much respect on Nick Saban. He's the only person that he would give any kind of favor to, any kind of going light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think I think y'all would probably get blown out, and that's not me trying to be biased as a Georgia fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just looking at how, again, that second half, y'all were blowing us out. And it's not like y'all changed up completely with the game plan. Just Kirby figured out what y'all did great against us, and he switched it. He calmed down Carson Beck, because the coverages, y'all was changing up coverages late in the fourth quarter. But, and then the defense completely figured out, because we got the same athletes. Whatever Jalen Milroe was seen in the first half, he did not see in the second half, and he wasn't as confident. Even his swagger, like his body language, it was like, oh damn, Georgia, we done gave Georgia our best shot in that first quarter, and now they then kind of started to figure this out, and now we, our confidence is, shook a little.
Yeah, we definitely should have. Honestly, I thought we should have lost that game against Georgia. Because when I was watching that game, as soon as they scored, and it was like 15, they scored. It was like 15 to like 34, or 33 or something. I don't know. I forgot. I knew they were going to come back. As soon as they scored, it's just that, like, the only reason why people weren't talking about how we blew that lead is because Ryan Williams bailed us out. That's the only reason we even won that. Yeah, that's the only reason why we won that game. Ryan Williams bailed us out, and they just completely forgot that we just blew probably one of the biggest leads I've ever seen. And I'm just really disappointed in coaching staff, like time management across multiple games. Coaching is just bad. Like, I can deal with the team making mistakes, missing tackles, but when the coaching staff is not doing great, that's why I just get mad. Like, I can't believe it.
Hey guys, question. I literally just thought about this. Hey, gents, you know he hasn't. Y'all, the head coach, he hasn't changed up anything since the first half against Georgia. Like they haven't course corrected things that they did wrong. It's like he's still going with the game plan, thinking that what happened in the first quarter, in the first half, should be working instead of making adjustments.
We haven't coached
Like he
correctly.
has, if you look at it, he ain't changed up anything. I'm surprised by that.
It's been like that all season. It's not just the Georgia. It's been like that all season long. The again that whole game that we struggled against South Florida. What did we decide to do in the second half? We decided to run heavy on the right side. We decided to run a lot 12, 13 personnel in the second half, and we did not do that for the entirety of the first half. We decided to take out our struggling right tackle who had 5 crucial penalties in that game, and we replaced it with a much more athletic tackle who can get out in space and can seal the edge, especially if you run 12. And that's how we were able to score 3 touchdowns against South Florida. Why didn't we do that for 3.5 quarters against South Florida? I have no idea. The Wisconsin game, lack of defensive adjustments in that particular game. The Georgia game in the second half, the game management was terrible. We decided to stay away from 5 wide. We decided to not attack the interior, but continue to attack the strength of Georgia, which was the perimeter when they made that adjustment because they just ran a lot of zone and they played with 2 5s. And now you look at this, now you look at the Vanderbilt game and the South Florida. Like it's just a lack of adjustments and just overall attention to detail about this entire coaching staff. It's pretty much the entirety of the season.
Also, this is my last question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you think anyone's particularly our defensive coordinators on a hot seat after those questionable performances?
We should be, but I don't think they're going to. I think it's year one. I think Kellen DeBoer has a lot of trust with Womack and definitely Sheridan. He's not firing Sheridan. He's too tight. He's too tight with Sheridan in order for him to be fired. Now, I don't think that Sheridan wasn't the initial. I mean, Ryan Grubb, that's his guy. Ryan Grubb has been with him every day, but since Ryan Grubb was gone, his second option that he trusts the most is Sheridan. So I don't think that Sheridan and Womack are going to be fired. I don't think that. I mean, quite frankly, he's not the type of guy to be firing coaches. He's the type of guy that he has a certain amount of coaches that he trusts and that he has great relationships with, and he's going to stick with those guys. Very, very loyal. So I don't think he fires Sheridan. I don't think he fires Womack. Now, and again, if things don't, I mean, now the boosters are going to get involved. I can tell you that right now. The boosters are going to get involved because of NIL and because we all know how coaches are paid. But again, DeBoer is the type. I mean, he is not. I'll give him credit. He's not the type of guy that's going to wilt under pressure. He's not. That's not his philosophy. That's not his MO. And so, I mean,
which is good when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you signed him, I mean, this is what you got. I mean, if they just looked at his win-loss record and say, okay, that's another Saban, you're wrong. That's not Saban. Kalen DeBoer is Kalen DeBoer. He is in the realm of a Chip Kelly, of a Chip Kelly, a Brian Kelly, a
Lane Kiffin,
a Steve Sarkisian. Like that's great. I mean, those are really good football coaches. They're just not Saban. They're not Kirby. They're not Bill Belichick. They're not falling under that coaching level.
Yeah, and I thought a lot of people were being too I mean, I understand the high expectations, but Nick Saban is Nick Saban. No one's gonna be Nick Saban. So that's all I had to say. I'm gonna catch up. I'll see y'all later. Peace out.
All right, man. And I'm about to go in a couple of minutes myself, but yeah, man, I agree with you. I agree with you, Jance. But yeah, that's just my mind puzzling to me is that even when you win a game, you still work on things in practice and you make adjustments so hopefully it doesn't happen. He ain't even doing that after a win or a loss, it seems like. That's just crazy to me as just coaching.
Yep.
Like you always
a lot bigger, man. It's a lot bigger what's going on behind the scenes, and I think we're just making this thing out to be like it's a. I'm gonna continue to reference this. It's a cultural issue. It's no way to put it.
And it's very funny that people brought up, they try to compare Kellen DeBoer in his first year versus Nick Saban in his first year, and I'm like, yo, a lot of Alabama fans forget from the 90s to the early 2000s, Alabama was nothing. Like they were trash. Nick Saban had to get it from the bottom, and he had to what he got from LSU and what all the the greatness that he brought from LSU, it didn't automatically transfer over to Alabama, even though he won championships. This Alabama team was ready made. Alabama right now is a packed up nightly a nice product that's ready to be manufactured, at least for the next 2 years.
Yep.
But this. Go ahead.
No, I'm just we are. This you pay for what you get, and I think that we as Bear fans, we got to understand, man, is that the Saban era, not just from a win-loss standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint, it's gone. Like you're not going to get the intensified practices. That's out the door. You're not going to get those. Maybe once in the blue moon, but you're not going to. But not in a yearly basis. Are you going to get the Jonathan Allens and the Lionel McClain's fighting players in the locker room? You're not going to get the Reuben Fosters,
the Derrick Henrys, Najee Harris's.
You're not going to get those type of you're not in a yearly basis. You're not going to you got dogs every single year, not just from what they did on the field, but what they did off the field. They were leaders. You didn't have 2 or 3 players. You had a crop of players that led by example. They led by example, and that they were feared. You don't have that.
It is unheard of that dynasty. That's why as me being a Georgia fan, but I'm very realistic, and I don't think Kirby Smart and Georgia's going to have as long as a dynasty as Alabama, because that just doesn't happen.
No, it's
the way of how college is going. I don't think Kirby's going to last as long. People. Like Kirby Smart, the reason why I say, he's a golden child is that Kirby won so much early on in his career. It took Nick Saban 30 years of coaching before we knew he's the Nick Saban of now.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Bill Belichick.
People seem to forget that. This society that we want something so much quick, fast. It's very rare that you have a Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes had to sit for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? People want a ready-made product at the gate, and I'm like, that's very rare. Most of everything that is a legacy is built over time. It just don't happen automatically. It took Kirby Smart 6 years to win his first championship, even though on his own. Let me say that. And do you know what I do fear as a Georgia fan? I'm not gonna say fear, but if we lose, Alabama should have went all in for Dan Lanning. I think he will be, because he comes from the Nick Saban, Kirby Smart coaching tree. It's either Dan Lanning, as far as if y'all wanted to go young, a young up and coming coach that still has that from players, or if they get stuff right now, he's our defensive coordinator. I think he will be a great option to become Alabama State coach. But y'all have to give him time. What is his name? I can't think of our defensive coordinator's name. But I think he will be a really good choice for y'all if y'all were to if y'all get rid of DeBoer in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And listen,
if y'all could poach him.
If Alabama, this is why, and I'll continue to stand by this with DeBoer. I think, can we win a national championship with DeBoer? Of course. Think you can win, of course, because again, he is a great football coach, but the philosophies between him and between the Sabans, the Kirby Smarts. It's just like there's a reason why Bill Belichick won 6 rings, and it wasn't just because of Tom Brady. He had like it wasn't just because of Tom Brady. It was like listen to what they were talking about in terms of the culture. Like all the players that played, like they said that the culture was different in a Patriots organization because it was a nonsensical, like it was business. It was pure and utter business.
Every player, if you look at Chad Johnson, like players that supposedly had bad egos or stuff that was unconventional
when they went to New England, straight
right.
up. You never heard of them bad egos again when they went to New England.
I agree.
Yep, like you just like there's the reason why he has 6 rings. There's a reason why Bill Walsh has 4 Super Bowls. Why Bill Parcells had 2 rings. There's a reason why these coaches win. Mike Tomlin. There's a reason why he wins even with George Pickens, and George Pickens is the true definition of Black Horse energy, but they tamed him it. There's a reason why they win 9 or 10 games every year and make the playoffs, despite them having bad offenses. It's a culture instituted within the organization that you just can't just hire a coach and think that thing's going to be incorporated.
There is a standard. There's a standard
that cannot be replicated.
That's what Kirby always preaches. He's like, yo, there's a standard that I require that we should all require. And that's a life lesson to that everybody should take. Like there's a standard that we should all, there's a level of standard that we all should have that I feel like people is just missing nowadays. And also I feel like they have the awareness. They have the mental capabilities to understand what works and what doesn't work in real time. Like when you speak with somebody, when somebody makes a good point that you maybe have never thought of, or you may have disagreed, but when you think about it in real time and you apologize in mid sentence, be like, you know what, hey bro, you are right. That's somebody that has a high level of awareness, and I feel like people like that today. And I'm trying to correlate that to coaching. Like Kellen DeBoer, I think he's great, but as offensively, but he has something that he's lacking where our coaching tree, they seem to have that. Like Lane Kiffin should be one of the greatest coaches ever, but it's just something there that's missing, and I don't know what it is.
It ain't talent, because that's the number one excuse that people will use as talent. I watched Clemson win a national championship with top 15, top 20 recruiting classes. They won 2. Lane Kiffin's getting the exact same recruits. He's getting the same recruits. He's getting top 25 guys, and he's dominating the portal. And he can't beat Georgia. He can't beat Bama. Even Bama's down. Like even Bama's last year, where we're struggling, we're trying to find an identity. Kiffin loses with that team.
Even before when he lost his coaching job with USC back in the day.
Yep.
When it was, when USC was, prime. Well, the prime was really 04, with Kirk, what's his face with Reggie Bush and stuff. But USC owned California. They were still top 5 recruiting classes every year. But Lane Kiffin, I don't know, just something missing. And even Steve, I feel like Steve Sarkisian could be the closest person to having being a great offensive mind, but still understand that you still need a good defense and stuff. I think maybe he's the closest person to that, but he lacks a little something.
Yeah, because Sarkisian. I mean, the one thing about Sarkisian that's great, and I don't think that this is something. I mean, Sarkisian may win a national title. Like he may win a national championship this year. Is he going to win titles? No,
he has to win it this year.
Yeah, he's got to win it this year. If he doesn't win it this year, then when is he going to win it?
Yeah, because I think Arch Manning is about to be one and done. I think at the next year, he's going straight to the NFL.
Next 2 years, man. Like you got 2 quarterbacks in Quinn and Arch. Arch is better than Quinn. Arch is going to be better than Quinn. If you don't win it with those next 2 years, you're not going to win it with Texas. You're going to win a lot of games. You're not going to win it with Texas.
Hot take. Do you think that does Archie Manning remind you of Trevor Lawrence a little bit?
A little, yeah.
Because the reason why I say that, Trevor Lawrence is underrated athletically. Wow, Georgia's got to pick. Hey, it's gonna be a blowout. When I look at Archie Manning, I watched a little bit of clips, but I feel like he may have a Trevor Lawrence. I think that's what he might end up looking like.
That's actually a good comparison.
And
I mean, both got strong arms. They can make any throw on the football.
They're both athletic. They're both pretty boys. You know, they have that sunshine, you know, from what is it called with Denzel Washington, the football movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, they have that kind of same aura in my sense. But I don't know I do know what's holding Trevor Lawrence back, but I don't know. Like, Trevor Lawrence should be better.
Inconsistent with
just playing. But I understand. Yeah, but I understand he's with a trash organization. Like, Jacksonville is just terrible. But but he should be playing better than what he should be. Like, you know, because he does have weapons. Like, it's just, I feel like he should be far better than what he should be. And he's had all the, he had Urban Meyer, you know it failed. Like, he's had offensive coaches that's great at offense and great developing quarterbacks, but he just hasn't gotten it yet. And I wonder if Archie Manning will follow that same path. Do you agree or not?
I mean, this is kind of the issue with the Sark offense and Lincoln Riley offenses. Like, these are offenses that they help out the quarterback so much. They don't have to do too much. They don't have to be a full processor. They don't have to be a full they don't have to be a full processor or a full read guy. The plays are set up from pre-snap. Like, pre-snap wise, they're going to be extremely prepared. It's post-snap that's the issue. Like, Trevor Lawrence is struggling with post-snap. Like, Lincoln Riley quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield with Cleveland struggle with post-snap. Caleb Williams in the few games that he's played right now struggles in post-snap. But pre-snap wise, they're killers. Caleb is extremely mobile and he can improvise like crazy, but when it comes to post-snap reads, when he has to stay in the pocket, he struggles. So this is what we're seeing with Trevor Lawrence. This is honestly what we saw from Mac Jones, his rookie Mac Jones, so far in the NFL. Like, this is the issue sometimes with playing in these sort of offenses, and like I said, like CJ Stroud plays mostly played in the pre-snap offense in Ohio State, but he got so much better post-snap wise in the NFL. It's ridiculous. He's phenomenal post-snap. So that's the one thing about college quarterbacks, man. It's pre-snap reads that they're great at. It's just post-snap wise that they got to get better at. So
yeah.
We'll see, man, about Arch, but that's my one concern about playing in a Sark offense. That offense is designed for a quarterback to excel in pre-snap reads. It's designed for it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, I'm not so much sold just yet on Arch Manning. I mean, like, I feel like Arch relies more on his athletic ability. That is, like, when you look at white quarterbacks, you don't look at them as great athletes. And I feel like Arch Manning, with his young career, that he is relying more on that than him processing and really being a great thrower of football. It's one thing to throw a football and being a great thrower of a football. Like, Jalen Milroe can throw the football. Lamar Jackson can throw. Jalen Hurts can throw. But they're not throwers of the football. And I haven't really seen that. I haven't really watched a lot of film on Arch Manning. But, I don't know. I just got to see it yet. Because I feel like he may try to use Arch Manning like Marcus Mariota. How Chip Kelly did with Marcus Mariota. And you see Marcus Mariota, what happened with him in the NFL. He's not a great thrower of the football. That's just my little theory.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. Janet can tell you this too, man. We almost lost the game. We almost lost. We almost we literally almost let a safety happen because when Damani Jackson caught the pick, he was gonna kneel. If he knelt, we were gonna give up 2 points. The ball was hit the foot. And Malachi Moore had to tell him, dude, don't kneel. Like we
And
almost,
I feel bad for
there,
him.
we would have been a safety. It would have been the craziest safety we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you heard anything on his injury? Because he got carted to the locker room.
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder. But he came back in. I don't think. I hope it wasn't a dislocation. No, I don't think it was a dislocation.
It looked like he hurt his hip or something. Like when he went down, he was grabbing his leg and it looked like a hip because he was limping. Like they had to carry him, off the field, and he wasn't applying pressure on his leg. So that's what I was thinking. Looked like a hip. But if you said it's a shoulder, then that's better.
He hurt his shoulder, came back in the game, so it could have been a stinger, maybe it could have been a dislocation, and they just kind of popped it in. I just hope it's not like anything that's kind of torn, and that he's just trying to play through the pain. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just like this game from a game manager standpoint, Trinity was. I can't even describe to you because I forgot all about that play. Like, man, if he knelt, if Malachi Moore wasn't there, he was going to kneel. And if he
why did you return that? See, and that's and again, hopefully the staff will correct him, but I probably not. From what I've been with other people, it's just a lack of maybe accountability. Maybe I don't know.
It's I don't know. Like it's you can't really blame the players and you can't even really blame the coaches. Like it's an all around just terrible effort. Like game management wise, we have a head coach that literally gave South Carolina 5 points. But on the other hand, you give up an onside kick. You give up, Jalen Murrow throws 2 bad interceptions, including giving up a safety. So he turns over the ball 3 times in this football game. Your offensive line is terrible in the ground game. It's terrible in the ground game. Your defense can't tackle and they can't play within structure. They can't play within assigned football. And then the worst part is your head coach can't manage a football game. Like I don't. It's like when I'm watching the game right now. It's like, dude, it's like you see the potential, you see the potential of this team, but they just, I don't know, man. It's something.
I think it's that first half. I think it's that first quarter and a half. Because I'm not even saying the whole first half. You saw once Georgia scored a touchdown, you start to see them start to figure things out. And they scored 7 points midway through the second quarter. Again, I just feel like the fan base is so enamored on how y'all started that I feel like y'all expect that to be the normal. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying like universally. I'm just saying that's just unheard of. Like if you watch football, people should know. Whenever have you ever started a game, the first 4 drives, all 4 touchdowns? That just don't happen. It may be like that in a whole half or maybe a whole game, but in the first quarter against an opponent that's the same level, you get what I'm saying? Oh, wow. The highlights of Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Texas, wow. They're dominating this team. Oklahoma doesn't have an offense. Oklahoma's defense is really good. It's just not when you're on the field constantly, when you can't stretch the field vertically, when you can't. I mean, all you have is a ground game. The problem is that Oklahoma's offensive line is bad. It's terrible. Yeah. So it's a handicap match.
And Brent Venables doesn't know how to coach. He doesn't know how to not coach offense, but he doesn't know how to recruit offensive players. He's a defense. He's what Kirby Smart would be if Kirby Smart was just a defensive guy.
The only thing he knows how to recruit is offensive linemen. That's the one thing he'll try to get right. He'll try to get the offensive line down. But the problem is, though, 2 years in a row, man, your offensive line it's gone. Like you lose 4 starters every year on your offensive line because you bring in a bunch of transfers and the tackles and guards that you bring in.
You said it, Jets. You said it. Transfers. Like that's underrated. Is that Colorado? Why Colorado gets killed in the media? I mean, one day people don't like having so many transfers that you can be successful and only rely on transfers. You have to have homegrown talent, and they have to stay. If you rely on a whole bunch of transfers throughout your coaching career, it's not going to work. Or we haven't seen it work, for a long time. I think that's very underrated. And it's crazy. It's the opposite of what Dabo Swinney is. Dabo Swinney doesn't want no transfers, and you see it's biting him in the behind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a balance. But yeah, Jason. Yeah, man. I'm about to go. It was good talking with you, brother.
Yes,
I appreciate
sir,
it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Yeah, don't pray about it, bro. Like, don't be stressing. It's gonna be all right.
Yep. What I see is what I get, man. It is what it is, man. But all right, Trendy.
All right, bro.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it is what a freaking day. What a stressful, just a day, man. I'm sick. I thought that this was a day where I could relax. I wake up, we're up 14-0. We play amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, we don't play amazing, but I'm like, okay, it's good. And then Kalen DeBoer just allows 12 points to happen within less than 6 minutes. We give up a safety. We give up a field goal unnecessarily because all you had to do was run the ball, and none of those points would have never happened. We have a head coach that can't manage a football game. We have personnel that can't play within structure. We have an offensive and defensive staff that's not that doesn't really know how to utilize their personnel, doesn't know how to put them in the right situations, playing out of position. We have special teams wise that can't recover an onside kick, even with two defenders around it. And the worst part is, man, and this goes with game management. We had 4 situations, 4 scenarios where these players clearly were not taught. And this has been going on since the first game of the year. The Vanderbilt game, we had 2 players with the same jersey on the field. And the crazy part is Ryan Williams had never returned a punt for the entirety of the season, but that particular moment. Why wasn't Cole Adams on punt return? I have no idea. But that literally cost us a football game because Vanderbilt would later score a touchdown on that drive, giving them, would later score a touchdown on that drive. If it wasn't for that touchdown, we could have been having a different conversation. So now here we go. We fast forward again, and special teams once again is kicking us in the ass. And I can't really put on, I don't know. I mean, I want to put it on our special teams coordinator, but at the same time, it's a complete coaching failure. These coaches are not putting these players in the best possible situations. They're clearly not teaching these players how to respond in crucial moments because Jeremy Bernard's scoring was one of the most idiotic things I've seen this year. And I've seen a lot of idiotic things about Alabama. If Bernard just kneels at the 1-yard line, the game is over. You're not risking South Carolina. You're not doing this crap with South Carolina when they're just driving on the field and they scored a touchdown by just a one-on-one matchup between Nicholas Harbor and Amani Jackson. That doesn't happen unless Bernard kneels. Bernard kneels, the game is over. So again, and the funny part is we took a timeout. I think we took a timeout. Or no, South Carolina took a timeout. So you had enough time to set the play, which they did. They set the play up. They set it up to perfection. And so you had enough time to not only set the play, but tell your players, catch the ball, go to the ground. You didn't do that. Or if they did do it, your players don't respect you. And that's even worse than you not telling the players what to do in these particular situations. So for the most part, guys, we are uncoached. We are undisciplined. We don't understand how to win in crucial moments and crucial situations. I don't care if the column tells you that it's a W. We should have lost. South Carolina just doesn't. I mean, we don't know how to win in these moments. Well, guess what? South Carolina doesn't know how to win in those moments too. That's expected. because that's South Carolina. That's who they are. They are a poorly ran football team with another terrible game managing coach named Shane Beamer. It's just that we have another coach on the opposite end that also is terrible in those game management situations too. It's kind of like Dumb and Dumber. It's kind of like Beavis and Butthead. And for the most part, guys, it's kind of like pick your poison. It's pick your poison. Pick your poison. Who do you want to have? Do you want to have Beavis or do you want to have Butthead to be your football coach? Because that's what I saw in this game between both guys. And we got lucky. We should have lost this game. We got outplayed again by an inferior opponent. But it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. Yep, play calling. Yep, Janet, play calling was atrocious. Yep, the play calling was atrocious. Again, not understanding the moment, not understanding the situation, not understanding that your offensive line has been getting abused, has been by Kennard and Dylan Stewart. They're dominating you off the edge. They're setting the edge whenever you're trying to run outside the perimeter, and we can't establish a ground game through your interior. I understand that Jenna Roberts might have been playing hurt. I understand that. But the fact that you can't rely on Parker Brailsford and Tyler Booker, who are all SEC guards, the fact that you can't, or all SEC interior offensive linemen, the fact that you can't rely on that is a complete disgrace, and that you have no faith and no ability in your ground game to pick up the valuable yards in those crucial moments and crucial situations. So this coaching staff doesn't have any faith or any confidence in our personnel, and they don't understand the moments. Like it's five things that you don't want your coaching staff not to do, and they're doing it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I like, to me, can we turn this around? Of course. Of course we can turn this thing around. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. They got to show me. They got to show me because right now I've lost trust. I've lost the trust. I've lost the trust in this coaching staff. Now, do I think DeBoer's going to get fired? No, I don't think that he should be fired. But I don't have any trust in these coaches. And that includes coaches that were with Saban last year, because Freddie Roach has been has been awful. He's been awful this year. Our special teams coordinator has been awful this year. Our linebackers coach has been awful this year. These coaches are not putting these players in the right situations, and these players clearly don't have any sort of respect at all, because when these coaches were yapping at them and they were yelling at the players, guess what the players were doing on the sidelines? Yelling, smiling, laughing it off, just like how they did in postgame, just like how they did during the postgame. When we won these sort of games, were we celebrating these sort of games? No, back in the day, we weren't celebrating these sort of games. We looked at it as a loss because we knew that we had so much more to offer to the table. Nowadays, we celebrate these wins against an inferior opponent that we should be blowing out. We play like absolute crap today, and we barely escape with our lives. And I'm telling y'all, it is a cultural issue with this team. It is a cultural issue. And until we get that fixed, until we establish some sort of identity with our culture, we will not go anywhere. We may make the playoffs, but the question is, the goal is not to make the playoffs, especially in an era now where the playoffs should be the minimum. The playoffs should be the minimum. Now, if it was last year, yeah, making a 14 playoff is more difficult. But you're telling me that in the first year of a 12-team playoff and a 12-team playoff where you don't have to win 11 games. You don't have to be 11-1 for you to make the playoffs. You don't have to, right? You can afford a loss. Hell, you can afford 2 losses, maybe 3, depending on how you lose them. But you're telling me in the first year, we are in danger of potentially missing the playoffs because no, that's no excuse. I don't care if it's year 1 of DeBoer and this coaching staff or not. This should be the minimum. And if we're going to lose games, I would rather lose to games that their talent is equal to ours, not to Vanderbilt, when they're just running an option offense and they're killing you on the line of scrimmage. Why are they killing you on the line of scrimmage? Because you don't have the right personnel in, and you don't have the right personnel in, which tells me that you, as a coaching staff, you don't understand how to utilize your personnel. And when you don't know how to utilize your personnel, you don't need to be coaching. So the coaching staff has been a big issue. These players have been a big issue. We have no cultural identity. We have no coaches who know. We have no coaches on the staff who knows how to manage a football game and know how to use clock management. It is issues on top of issues on top of issues. Every single week we see this team play, there's something going on. And I have no idea. It's too many mistakes. It's too many issues. You're not going to fix them all. You're not going to fix them all. If we have issues with playing and structure, if we have issues with tackling, if we have issues of how to manage a game, if we have issues of how to utilize personnel, how the hell do you expect me to have faith in this football team when we can't even get the basics down? It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Oh boy, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating, man. It's so frustrating that we can't even get the basics down. I can understand our secondary struggling because it's their first year. I can understand us losing because, you know what? It's their freshmen. We got 3 freshmen playing in the back end of the secondary. It is what it is. I expect the secondary to have struggle. I can understand that. What I don't understand is why my defensive line and why my linebackers are getting their ass kicked constantly against inferior offensive line. Vanderbilt doesn't have a great offensive line. South Carolina doesn't have a great offensive line. So why are we getting torn up? Why are we getting torn up in the run game? Why are holes continue to open up and increase? Why? Because my nose tackle is playing 3-tech. My 3-tech is playing as a 5. My 5-tech is playing wide out. So my players are not being, so it's not the fact that Alabama can't stop them. It's because my players that are being put in these certain formations, they're being put in the wrong formations, which means that my coaching staff doesn't know how to utilize personnel. Everyone's having fun during practice. Everyone has, we got the ice cream truck out there. We Mel Moore, for the most part, the arcades got better. We added two basketball things into there. We got a basketball court within the facility. We got an ice cream. We got a couple of ice cream stands within it. The mouse traps are in it. We made Mel Moore into a fucking arcade. Mel Moore became fucking Chuck E. Cheese. YouTube, like content, like we got YouTubers and other content creators that don't even know the game of football, touring the facility, making YouTube content, jumping podcast after podcast. It's a joke. It's a joke, man. I agree, Dylan. I agree wholeheartedly, man. I agree wholeheartedly. And the problem is, and Janet referenced this earlier about where's the intensity. The intensity is gone. It's gone. I'm telling you, man. And I saw this as an issue when Jalen Miro, when he talked about this when he threw. I think it was a post route. It was a perfect dime. When he threw it. And he completed the pass. Miro was ready to move on to the next rep. What did DeBoer say to Jalen Miro? Why aren't you celebrating? Miro then goes on to say, and I quote, "Wait, what do you mean? I'm ready to move on to the next play. What am I supposed to celebrate?" DeBoer then says, and I quote, "You made a perfect pass that a lot of quarterbacks don't make. You have to celebrate that pass. Celebrate with your teammates." It is a cultural shift, and it's understandable. We understand that Kalen DeBoer is not Saban. We understand that Kalen DeBoer is going to bring things from Washington and bring things that he's been at everybody else to the University of Alabama. But the one thing that I was not expecting, I wasn't expecting these players to forget about what Nick Saban taught them for some of these guys 3, 4, 5 years. I expected a lot of those guys who were around Saban, who understood the standard. Some of these guys were who were on that 2020 team and won a national championship. But even if they were, a lot of these guys were on that playoff team from last year, and they saw what happened when they turned it on in the second half of the year. They saw what happened. They saw it. They played under it. They were under Saban. They know the standard. And for them to forget the standard, I didn't expect these players to forget the cultural teachings that Saban displayed for them. They forgot it all and went instantly to the DeBoer culture. They instantly went into the DeBoer culture. And one thing that I thought was probably going to happen, and I was interested in seeing, was how long before DeBoer establishes his full reign and full culture within the organization. Because you would think that with Saban players that had to make that transition, you would think that they would at least have about a year or two before it all kind of vanishes and DeBoer gets his own thing. Because they keep talking about how the standard is there. No, that's Nick Saban's standard. It's not the Bama standard. The Bama standard is Saban. The Bama standard was established by Saban. A lot of the stuff that's written on the walls, a lot of the stuff that's written on the walls when you walk within Mel Moore facility, that's Nick Saban's quotes. Those are Nick Saban quotes. Those are not Kalen DeBoer quotes. Those are not Mike Shula or Dennis Franchione or Bill Bryant. Those are not any of the past predecessors that came to Alabama. Those words, when you walk right into Mel Moore facility, those are not their words. Those are Saban words. And so when Saban retired, the standard walked away from him, because that's what it's showing me. The standard, I'm telling you, and a lot of people are going to be pissed off with me, but this is the truth. This is the reality. Because I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, watch Busting with the Boys when they toured Mel Moore facility. Watch Destroying's video and tell me that the standard is still there for Alabama. Tell me that it's still there. Tell me that the culture hasn't disappeared. I wish the defense played better too, Kim. But when you don't have but Kimberly, when you don't have a coaching staff that understands how to utilize your personnel, and this is what's going to happen. And the crazy part is, when your coaching staff does put the defense in the right positions, they can't play assignment football, so they can't play within structure, and they can't tackle. And what's the number one thing about tackling? That's coaching. One of the first things that you do in any camp setting, whether if it's 7-on-7 camp, whether if it's just regular, whether if it's regular practice, like first day of practice, training camp, spring camp, one of the first things on defense that they tell you that you have to learn is you have to learn the fundamentals of tackling. That's any football setting, little league, high school, college, professional. They teach you the fundamentals of tackling. And the last couple games, ladies and gentlemen, we have been one of the worst teams in the country when it comes to tackling. That's coaching. So we have a coaching issue when it comes to our players not tackling. We have a coaching issue of them not utilizing of them not utilizing personnel correctly. We have a coaching issue when it comes to managing a football game defensively, and we have a coaching issue when it comes to making adjustments. That's not even a trifecta. That's a quadruplet of problems and issues that I just don't know if it's going to be fixed. And it's been this way since I'm telling you, the Western Kentucky game. It's happened that game when Western Kentucky drove down the field for 10 minutes. How did they drive down the field for 10 minutes? Tackling. How did South Florida dominate Alabama with time of possession? Tackling. How did Wisconsin become so successful in the ground game? Missed tackles. How did Vanderbilt run all over us and dominate us on the line of scrimmage, despite us sometimes even being in right positions to make plays? Tackling. And now you look at the South Carolina game, especially in the second half. What happened? missed tackles. Alabama had 4 sacks today. Alabama should have 8. They should have had 8 sacks. But why didn't those sacks occur? Because we're tackling high and we're going for the ball. And that's another thing too, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm definitely going to sit up here and say. Notice how on every single tackle we try to strip it. We immediately strip it, which results in more broken tackles made. So Womack is instituting. This is Womack what he's trying to do. He is trying to institute of going for the strip rather than going for the tackle. That's coaching, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why I'm telling you, when people sit up here and tell me that, no, these players are not making tackles. Oh, that's a tackling issue. Okay, yes, we have a tackling issue. Who is that on? You don't think tackling is on coaches? That's the coach's responsibility to get the players to tackle. And if they can't tackle, then guess what? You better find somebody else that can teach them how to do it. Because clearly, the coach's the first responsibility, that's a coach's responsibility to teach them how to tackle. How is that not on the coach? I don't care if these players are in the right positions or not. If they can't tackle, that's still a coach's responsibility. That's another thing too. A crap ton of man blitz, exotic blitz packages. We rush 3 and we send we rush 3 and we send a corner out like they don't see it. A lot of man blitzes, zone blitzes, 4-man rushes, 3-man rushes. How we were successful against South Carolina because we decided to run 5-6. We decided to run 5 and 6. Oh, by the way, we had a spy. Why did we do that for the first half of the game? Why didn't we do that against Vanderbilt? When we did, like I'm watching this Texas-Oklahoma game. What do they do with Michael Hawkins? They have 0 spying on the quarterback. They're just playing underneath, and they have a spy on the quarterback. Why didn't we have a spy on the quarterback against Vanderbilt? Why didn't we have our linebacker spy against the quarterback against South Carolina? It makes no sense. This is a coaching issue, ladies and gentlemen. And until we get the coaching fixed, we're not going to go anywhere as a team. It's frustrating to watch because the one thing that I thought we were going to get right this year was coaching. I thought the coaching was supposed to be fixed this year. I thought the coaching was going to be an upgrade. It clearly isn't. It's a downgrade. It's a downgrade. It's a massive downgrade. I can't believe I'm even saying this. We have Pete Golding on the offensive side of the ball, and we have Pete Golding on the defense side of the ball. But you know what? I think I'm being disrespectful to Pete Golding because the one thing that I can tell you about Pete Golding, he knows how to use his personnel at least. Yes, his play calling was garbage, but at least he knows, at least for certain formations, he knows how to utilize personnel. We have a coach that can't make the right play calls and can't use the personnel right. Ladies and gentlemen, it feels like we have 2 coaches that are Joe Kynes. It feels like we have Joe Kynes on both sides of the football. I'm actually being disrespectful to Pete Golding. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if this is going to get fixed. I don't know. And and Kimberly, that's a good point because with Kevin Steele came in last year, what happened? The defense had massive improvements. Why? Because you had an old school coach you had an old school coach who understood Nick Saban. You had an old school coach who brought in that old school mentality. The practice were more intensified. The practice were more intensified. The reps were more intensified. But then you look at the offensive side of the ball. What was the weakness? A young, inexperienced offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees, who wasn't respected, who's known as a player's coach, wasn't really respected within the locker room. But Kevin Steele was. Kevin Steele, long mentored, hard-nosed coach, was respected by the locker room. Nick Saban, hard-nosed, experienced, a Belichickian coach, nonsensical, a guy that can set a culture, a guy that was a master motivator, respected by the players, was successful for almost 2 decades. We got to have a coach. We gotta have a coach that when they come in, standards set. And I think right now, when you look at this coaching staff, they're all young. Kane Womack, his dad was feared, even when he was with Ole Miss with that land shark defense. Those Ole Miss former players, they'll tell you he was feared within the locker room. Kane Womack's dad was feared within the locker room. When he stepped in, you shut your mouth. You stepped in. You stepped in. He already had the attention of the players. Kane Womack is young. Our linebackers coach is like 31. Coach Linguist, yes, Coach Linguist, he's been around a lot for the NFL, but guess what, Coach Linguist? But guess what? And this is what I talked about with Coach Linguist, with Coach Mo, when a bunch of Bama fans were criticizing me for saying that, listen, I'm not the biggest fan of the Coach Linguist hire. Because I've been around Coach Linguist. I've seen him personally. I've seen how he does things. Yes, he's a lot more aggressive as a defensive backs coach. So he's way more, especially as a defensive coordinator. He's way aggressive with his players. But one thing I talked about with Coach Linguist was that he was a player's coach. He was relatable to the players, but he wasn't a hard-nosed coach. So we got a bunch of coaches that are more players like we have a bunch of players coaches. We have a bunch of players coaches. We don't have a hard-nosed guy. We don't have anybody that grabs the attention of the players. We don't have a coaching staff that when a coach walks in the freaking meeting rooms, the music doesn't cut off. It plays for it plays for another damn hour. We don't have that guy. Any of them. And that includes Freddie Roach. So until we get that established, until we get players that actually respect these coaches, we're not going to go anywhere as a football team. And look at that. I mean, come on, Fly. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I'm expecting these close games going forward. Are you kidding me? And that tells you the mentality right there. That tells you his mentality. That tells you his mentality. Crazy. Catch Kirby Smart saying, I expect a close game with South Carolina. Catch Kirby Smart saying, I expect a close game with Vanderbilt. What do you think Kirby Smart will say during the pregame? He expects domination. He expects to dominate. You expect him to run up the damn score. You expect the dogs to eat. And that's the crazy part, Dylan. These were supposed to be our easiest games. Vanderbilt and South Carolina are supposed to be our 2 easiest SEC games. And the 2 games that were supposed to be the easiest on your schedule, you should have lost both of them. Now you play a Tennessee football team who's looking to kick your ass in Neyland. And then you play Missouri. 2 teams who are still in the college football playoff conversation. 2 teams that when they watch the Alabama film, they're going to take a look at this team. They're going to sit there and say to themselves, oh, we can not only can we beat this team, we can blow out this team. Oklahoma's getting their ass kicked against Texas right now. I have no faith we're going to blow Oklahoma. I have no faith we're going to even blow Auburn. It's going to be a close, hard-fought game against Oklahoma, and it will be a close, hard-fought game against Auburn. But none of these games moving forward are guaranteed. All these games could be L's. And that's not an over-exaggeration. All of these games could be L's. Because the way that we're set up right now, not just on the field, but off the field, it's not primed to win a lot of games. It's just too many issues. It's too many issues going within the program that I'm not confident. I'm just not. I'm not confident that we can make the playoffs. I'm not. It's like, it's insane to me. Like, we went all in for Georgia. We went all in for Georgia in the first half, and then since the second half has came, ladies and gentlemen, we've been outrushed, outplayed, out everything. And that's the thing, Fly. They can run the option. Exactly. If I'm Oklahoma, just run the option offense. Run the option offense and just run it down Alabama's throat, because clearly we can't handle it. Clearly we can't handle it. And I don't know. Like, guys, it's going to take time. Like, that's just all I'm going to say. It's going to take time. I think that as Bama fans, we made a big mistake of just rushing. We thought that with Kalen DeBoer coming into year one, he was going to fix Milroe up. He was going to fix this offense. Defensively, they were going to have their struggles, but we didn't think anything like this. We didn't think 40 points to Vanderbilt. We didn't think of it. We didn't think 30-something points in the second half against Georgia. We didn't think any of it. And I think that our expectations, honestly, should have been 9-3 instead of 10-2 and up. Some people were saying we're going to go undefeated. I ain't going to name names, but some people said that we're going to go undefeated, run everybody out through the door. And honestly, guys, our expectations were too high of this team. It just was. Now, can they go 11-1? Of course they can. Can they go 10-2 and make the playoffs? Depending on who you beat, of course. But can they still make the playoffs? Of course this team can. This team's the door is wide open. They still have an opportunity to go ahead and punch their ticket into the playoffs and compete for a national championship. But they got to show me. And so far, the sample size that I've seen so far, not just this game, not just the Vanderbilt game, but the Wisconsin, the South Florida game, it's leaving me doubts. It's leaving me. I mean, at least last year, my defense played great. I knew my defense made certain mistakes, especially in that Texas game. That defense wasn't the reason why they lost that football game. That offense was the reason why they lost. The South Florida game for last year wasn't my defense, it was my offense that struggled. It wasn't until my offense started to pick up the pieces and get better and better week over week that you knew that, like, hey, if this offense can get figured out, this team can make the playoffs. This team can make a run to make the playoffs. This year, I have no idea what to believe. 1 week it's the offense, 1 week it's the damn defense. I have no idea what to believe. The only thing that gets me excited, the only thing that gives me hope is that first half game against Georgia. But then you have to take a look at it and say, well, wait a minute. For 3.5 quarters, we got outplayed by South Florida. That Western Kentucky game, they literally almost swallowed up an entire quarter by having a 10-minute drive because of missed tackling. And then in the Wisconsin game, we will never know what would happen in that football game because their quarterback was hurt in the first quarter. So honestly, we still have, I mean, honestly, the fact that we have no idea what this Bama team is, we shouldn't be surprised because we haven't been tested enough. We haven't been tested enough to see what this team really is. And so far, it's a team that is just, it's been faltering. It's been faltering. And it's not just the players that are faltering, it's my coaching staff that's faltering as well. Because whenever the pressure is intensified, whenever their backs are against the wall, I am watching my football team crumble under pressure, under duress. We didn't make a play against South Carolina. We didn't make a play against South Carolina for the 2-point conversion. We didn't make a damn play. The quarterback just missed them wide open. Because the fact of the matter is, if he just would have released it on their initial point instead of waiting 2 to 3 seconds, that's a 2-point conversion. And if this game would have went into overtime, do I have any faith that this team wins? No, because when their backs are against the wall, All I see is that the inferior team continues to be the better team in those situations. Right, Fred? If they can play right, if the players can play in structure, if the coaches can put these players in the right positions to succeed, if the coaches can manage a football game. It's a lot of ifs that we have to include if they can play right. And so far, the only time that they actually played right was against Georgia. The only time when we saw the upside of this team being a national championship team was in that first half against Georgia. But there's a lot of ifs. It's too many ifs. Last year, all we talked about was if this offense can be good, we can make the playoffs. If Tyrese can be more consistent with this offense, we can make the playoffs. But there's too many ifs with this team right now. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that my coaching staff, under pressure and under duress, they can't handle it. They can't put the players in the best possible situations. Like like that to me, ladies and gentlemen, that's where my faith is gone. Like that's where my faith is completely gone. I can understand my players making mistakes. I can understand my players missing tackles. I can understand my players missing blocking assignments. I can understand Jalen Miro not having the game not having a great game and having the turnovers. I can understand, injuries happening. I can understand a lot of case scenarios where my players don't play well. That's fine. I can handle it. I can't handle my coaches not putting these players in the right situations. I can't handle my coaches panicking in the moments. That's what I can handle. That's where you lose me. If my coaches are panicking under pressure, under duress, what do you think the players are going to do? They're going to follow you because you lead by example. And so far, the product that's been put on the football field, I can tell you that's not because the players are not leading by example. It's because the coaches are leading by example, and they follow exactly what's been going on during the practices, the lackadaisical practices, the non-intensified practices, the music, the concerts are getting played, the arcades, the jewelry, everybody running around with damn jewelry, the NIL that's been going on. All this crap that's been going on, it's led by example by the coaches. And until we get that straightened out, we're not going to be going anywhere as a football team. Now, I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. These coaches can get it together. It's a possibility. But they haven't shown me. And last week, we had a lot of promises from my coaches. Coach Shepard. We got a lot of promises last year by these coaches. Last week by these coaches. We had a lot of promises last week about these players. And so far, it's been bullcrap. It's been bullcrap. It's been complete bullcrap. And then once again, ladies and gentlemen, right before I close out, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's the anxiety excuse that Malachi Moore used last week. Anxiety affected us. The same crap we used 2 years ago against Will Anderson, how did that go for us after that? Anxiety. Anxiety. You play in front of 100,000 people on a weekly damn basis, and anxiety is the excuse that we want to use? Anxiety. Even if that is true, even if these players had anxiety, isn't that the coach's responsibility to calm things down? To get things right so that anxiety doesn't become a huge factor? Because if anxiety is the reason why we can't play football, then quite frankly, give me 2-star players. Give me 1 or 2-star or 3-star players that don't have anxiety. Because apparently a bunch of 4 and 5-star guys with the anxiety can't play football right. Give me the 1-star guys. Give me the 2-star guys who are begging for an opportunity to get on that football field. Give me those guys. Anxiety. That's the same crap we used 2 years ago. Anxiety. You play in front of 100,000 people on a weekly damn basis, and anxiety is the excuse that we use now. At home. We haven't played a true road game since Wisconsin, and anxiety is the reason why you lost last week. Anxiety this week is the reason why you couldn't play within structure. God, man, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. Exactly. Like Janet, we haven't played a true, like Vanderbilt, 75% Alabama fans. That's a home game. So where was the anxiety? Were you afraid to let down your Bama? Like, were you afraid to let your Bama fans, to let the fans down? Was that the reason? Was that a part of your anxiety? You were just afraid that of the amount of backlash you get? Well, if you are afraid of that, then maybe you signed up for the wrong damn sport. Maybe football shouldn't be a sport that you play at this level if you can't handle the anxiety. I'm going to close it out here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate all you guys for coming by. I appreciate all you guys to come by the stream, but I'm just going to close it out with this statement is we have a cultural issue with this football team. And until we get it fixed, we're just not going to go anywhere as a team. It's bad enough that my players are not playing assignment-based football. It's bad enough that my players are not, that they can't tackle or they can't really handle the simple things, the fundamentals of playing the sport. But when your coaches are not putting these players in the best possible situations, and when your coaches, and I'm watching coaches panic on the sideline. I'm watching coaches literally panic on the sideline. I'm watching DeBoer come out in halftime and say that I wanted to be aggressive with 12 seconds left on the clock. You're up 7-14. Your quarterback just got sacked on back-to-back reps, and you decide on third down that you wanted to be aggressive. That tells me that you're panicking. That tells me that you don't, because if you're going for it on a 3rd and long with 12 seconds left in the game, that tells me that you have no confidence in this football. That tells me that you don't have any confidence within this football team. If you're constantly being overly aggressive in situations that you have no business even being, that you shouldn't even be thinking about being aggressive in these moments, that tells me that you have no confidence in your defense. That tells me that you just want to be ahead as much as possible so that you can just waste clock in the second half like you did against Georgia. Because that's ultimately a big reason why Georgia even came back and won, was because we decided to play conservative. We decided that we wanted to try to waste as much clock as possible by being overly aggressive in the first half and being extremely conservative in the second half and just try to waste clock. And that literally still almost backfired on you by literally almost making history. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a coaching staff that has no identity. We have players that don't have any identity, which means that this program right now, this football program, doesn't have an identity. And the fans have the right to feel frustrated. The fans have the right to voice their opinions and voice their frustrations, which means that the boosters are definitely going to voice their frustrations. Right now, these boosters, these fans, I know a lot of you guys, we're not happy with DeBoer. Not because their players are making vital mistakes, but because your coaches are making vital mistakes. And if your coaches are making vital mistakes, that is on you as a football coach. Because that's the one thing that we expected for you when you first came here, to immediately have right. And so far, it has not been good. It has not been good. And we can go all the way back to week 1 for this type of stuff to happen. It is not a great situation right now. We are not in a great situation, and we have little time in order for us to fix it, because because from this point forward, every single football game is losable. Every single football game, it is going to be a struggle until we're proven otherwise. Because now we're going into the toughest part of our schedule. If you thought that the first half of our schedule was the toughest part, oh no, you guys are wrong. Now that we're getting into the second half of the season, We're just now getting in to the toughest part of our football schedule. And all that we've seen was a second half collapse against Georgia, the most embarrassing loss in program history against Vanderbilt, and another almost embarrassing loss to an inferior South Carolina football team that before this game could barely generate any sort of passing offense. This is the most passing yards that they ever accumulated, and they did it against, once again, this defense. Welcome to the second half of welcome to the second half of your schedule, Alabama. Welcome to the second half of your schedule. Good luck with it. Right now, I have no faith that this team is going to win, that this team is going to make the playoffs. Maybe they can prove me otherwise. People can call me a casual or a fair weather fan. You know who you are. If you know you are, it is what it is. But until Alabama actually shows me that they can be competent, not just from a player standpoint, but from a coaching standpoint, you're gonna have to. I have no faith at all that this team can get the job done. And if I'm a casual, if I'm a fair weather fan, then so be it. So be it. I'm the type of person that, dude, show me. I didn't go to Alabama. I didn't go to Alabama. I went to Buffalo State, and I went to Buffalo State. I went to UB. I've just been a Bama fan since I've been 7 years old. Since my godmother got me into watching Alabama football. One of my first games, going to an Alabama football game. Like, I've been a fan since I was 7. My godmother who went to Alabama, who graduated early 90s, Delta Sigma, right, who her sorority, Delta Sigma Theta, she got me into Alabama football. So just like how Coach Sean tells you, man, the truth is in the details. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to be all just Bama, Bama, Bama. I tell you how things are. I tell you how I see things. And I'm glad that a lot of you guys are following the same, but you know who these fans are. These fans who will criticize you on every single take, every single turn that they'll tell you, because they're blinded, because they're blinded. They're blinded. And that's just not the thing that I'm going to be doing. That's exactly what's going to be doing. And James, I mean, listen, he's not SEC ready. He is not SEC ready, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. I still have confidence in DeBoer. I still believe in him. But right now we got to tell the truth. You can believe in somebody and be real about them. This coaching staff isn't prepared, and these players are not prepared. And like I said, guys, until we get it right, I have no faith and have no confidence that we're even going to make the playoffs. And the craziest part is, this is the easiest that we're ever going to get it in making the playoffs. A 12-team playoff, you can afford 2 losses and still make it. But because of who we lost to, 2 losses may not even be an option, because you lost to Vanderbilt. If you just would have lost to Georgia and lose to lose to Tennessee or stuff like that, that could still help out your case of making it to the playoffs. That could still help out your case, and that still likely will get you in. But it's because of who you lost to. It's going to hurt you if you don't make it to an SEC championship football game. Yep, and Tay, I know, and Tay, unfortunately, I know exactly who you're talking about. And listen, it is what it is. Like I said, we can get called. We can get called fair weather fans. We know the reality. We know the truth. We know what type of fans we are. We're not blinded, but we're not blinded by loyalty. We're not. The people that go out there and call fans fair weather are toxic. They're toxic fans. They're toxic fans. They are toxic fans that don't want anybody to criticize their team. Any sort of criticism is warranted as fair weather. You can't criticize your team. The only thing that you can do supposedly is support the team. And if they lose, it's sunshine and daisies and roses. But if they win, then, I mean, it is what it is. But if they lose, you're supposed to treat the team like if they won the football game. And that's just not the way things are. So guess what? Tay, Janet, everyone that's in chat, If we're all fair weather fans, then so be it. I'll take that title graciously. I'll even change my Twitter handle to fair weather. I might change this damn channel to fair weather fan, fair weather sports. That's what I might change it to. It may be fair weather sports from now on. Because if we can't, because if we get in trouble, if we get criticized for telling the truth, then I'd rather be that than simply lie to your face. You don't love somebody if you tell them all. You don't love somebody if you tell them nothing but lies. If you just comfort them all the damn time. Sometimes telling them the hard truth, yes, it's gonna hurt their damn feelings, but at the same time, it will be best for them. Because comforting them and lying to them and stuff like that, and how is it going to benefit them? How is it going to benefit that individual if you don't tell them the truth? The truth hurts. And if Bama fans can't tell you the truth, it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, we know what fan base is doing that crap. And it's toxic. It's toxic. Because I've been seeing it all over the damn time, all over the place. Coach Sean's been called that. I've been called that. A lot of these fans in this chat have been called that. Janet's been called that. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And it is what it is, man. Like, that's the one thing within our community, man, is that just because we dominate for 2 decades, and any sort of criticism within your team, you get called a fair weather. Like a lot of us Bama fans, we've been here since we were losing. We understand it. We understand we understand the 2000s. We understand the mid 90s. Some of you guys have been around the 80s. But again, it's these toxic fans, man, that just think that, hey, man, I'm supposed to support my team all day. Because if I don't support my team, I'm going to think that I'm a casual. They think that I'm a casual, that they're not a real Bama fan. Like, it's the dumbest crap ever, man, but it is what it is. Yeah, truth is in the details. And some people simply just can't handle the damn truth. Some people simply can't handle the damn truth. Iconic, they can't handle it. Exactly. Oh, Freddie Roach, Freddie Roach should be fired. I'll just come on out. Yeah, he should be fired. His ability to develop players on the defensive line has been terrible, and he should be fired, especially at the defensive tackle position. When I'm watching my nose tackle play 3 and 5 tech, that's not on the defensive coordinator. That's on defensive line coach. That's on my defensive line coach. That's more on Freddie Roach. He needs to go. He's a phenomenal recruiter. I don't care about all that crap. I care more about development than talent. So I think he should be fired. But ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for me here, guys. How many hours, man? We've been going for 3 hours. So this is a 3-hour live stream. This is crazy. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna be on Ty Hayes' post game Ty Hayes' show tomorrow. So make sure to follow Around the Table Sports. We'll be on there on Monday around 6 o'clock Central Time. Around 6 o'clock Central Time, 6:30 as always on Mondays. So we'll be on there. We'll recap Bama game. Of course, Texas, Oklahoma. I'm gonna make a video on that now, and then of course we'll talk about that on Monday as well. But yeah, like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, I have no faith or no confidence in this Bama team. I just have. I don't have any faith in any confidence, and until this coaching staff and they got to prove me otherwise. Until then, it is what it is. So we'll see, guys. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. But hopefully, you guys have a great night for the rest of your evening. At least we got the W, ladies and gentlemen. At least we got the win. And so, it could be a lot worse, but we got the win. We'll see what happens against Tennessee next week. But yeah, I don't know. I might not even buy a damn cigar. We'll see. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.